Bishnoi, named as the murder mastermind, had actually started plotting the singer's killing way back in 2021. Bishnoi had enlisted his brother Anmol and nephew Sachin for the hit job. Lawrence Bishnoi flew his brother Anmol out of India as part of the Kill Moosewala plot. He was sent to Europe so he could evade security agencies. From Europe, Anmol got in touch with Bishnoi's partner in crime and another dreaded gangster, Goldy Brar, in Canada. That's how the conspiracy to kill Moosewala was hatched. The final signal for the singer's murder was given via a video call. After conducting a recce of Moosewala's house on 29th May, gangster Kekra accompanied Nikku Takhatmal on his motorcycle. They were present at Sidhu Moosewala's house when he came out of the gate. Nikku and Kekra took a selfie with Sidhu Moosewala on Nikku's mobile phone, who further made a video call to Sachin Thapan and informed him that the singer had left his house without security and that he was in the driver's seat of the black Thar. Not just that, the plan to eliminate Moosewala was hatched immediately after Bishnoi aide Vicky Midukera's death. Lawrence Bishnoi has told the investigators that the motive to kill Moosewala was clear. Not only did he belong to a rival gang, but Bishnoi claims that Moosewala would provoke and challenge his gang with songs about weapons. With Arvind Ojha in Mohali, Bureau Report, India Today.
This conversation between Goldy Brar and those people who carried out this crime, the sharpshooters here, and also who carried out the recce. What were these conversations really about? Where Goldy Brar makes a phone call on the 28th of May, asking Fauji to listen. Hello, Fauji. Hello, Dr. Sahab is what Fauji, the sharpshooter here, replies. Remember, Dr. Sahab is a code name for Goldy Brar, and Fauji, of course, is the sharpshooter who carried out this crime. Moosewala's security has been removed is what Goldy Brar is informing to the shooters here. One of the shooters there being Fauji. Yes, Dr. Sahab. So is yes confirming, in fact, saying that they know about this security being downgraded or rather removed. Take the rest of the boys and leave, instructing him to do the work. Yes, Dr. Sahab is what Fauji replies in the affirmative, then indicating that the work is going to be done. Work should be done is what Goldy Brar is indicating, or rather ordering, by the 29th of May at all cost. Yes, Dr. Sahab is what Fauji, the shooter, is confirming to Goldy Brar, who is really acting as a handler in all of this. After that, he says the work is going to be done, is what Fauji, the shooter, is confirming to Goldy Brar, who's sitting in Canada. This conversation takes place on the 28th of May. So this is the conversation essentially that goes on to show the manner in which these instructions essentially were given before this murder was carried out a day later on the 29th of May. We'll get to that conversation in a bit also, because we have conversations from the 28th of May, from the 29th when the murder was carried out, from the 30th and after 1st of July when the specific instructions were given by Goldy Brar or Dr. Sahab to the shooters to escape and also to dispose or discard of the weapons used in this crime. Arvind Ojha is getting asked more details on that story. Arvind, it does appear, ये clear है कि इंतजार हो रहा था कि कब security withdraw होगी और ये क्राइम कैरी आउट होगा। ऐसे में ये सवाल हमने पहले भी उठाया है, इस इन्फॉर्मेशन को पब्लिक करने की क्या ज़रूरत थी और किस बेसिस पे ये जो सिक्योरिटी है ये विड्रॉ या डाउनग्रेड किया गया है, क्योंकि हमारे जो रिपोर्ट्स है वो सजेस्ट करते हैं कि 2021 से ये प्लॉट जो है वो हैच हो रहा था।
जी बिल्कुल, आपने सही कहा। ये 2021 से सिद्धू मूसेवाले की हत्या की साजिश रची जा रही थी और एक बार तो दिल्ली के एक गैंगस्टर को स्पेशल सेल ने अरेस्ट किया था जिसका नाम था शाहरुख। इस हत्याकांड के एक महीने पहले उसको अरेस्ट किया गया था 26 अप्रैल को 2022 को पंजाब से ही, जिसने खुलासा किया था कि उसने लॉरेंस बिश्नोई गैंग के कहने पर वो सिद्धू मूसेवाला की रेकी कर रहा था। तो ये बात तो पंजाब पुलिस को भी जानकारी थी और दिल्ली पुलिस को इस बात की जानकारी थी कि जो सिद्धू मूसेवाला है वो बिश्नोई गैंग के रडार पर है। उसके बाद भी सिक्योरिटी कम की गई, जो पंजाब पुलिस ने कम की, पंजाब की सरकार ने, और उसके बाद वो पब्लिक में वो जानकारी आ गई और इसका फायदा जो बिश्नोई गैंग है उसने उठाया। और जैसा कि आपने सुना 28 मई को गोल्डी बरार ने बकायदा प्रियव्रत फौजी को कहा कि सिक्योरिटी कम कर ली गई है और अब जो हत्याकांड है उसको अंजाम दिया जाए। लेकिन ऐसा नहीं है, इसके पहले भी कई बार अटेम्प्ट करने की, सिद्धू मूसेवाले पर अटेम्प्ट करने की कोशिश की गई, प्लानिंग बनाई गई, हालांकि वो एग्जीक्यूट नहीं की जा सकी बिकॉज ऑफ हैवी सिक्योरिटी सराउंडिंग में था सिद्धू मूसेवाला के। लेकिन जैसे ही सिक्योरिटी विड्रॉ की गई, गोल्डी बरार बिश्नोई गैंग को ये मौका मिला और जो कुछ भी हुआ 29 मई को वो सबके सामने है।
जी बने रहिए हमारे साथ अरविंद, getting us all of those details. In fact, our next report gets you these details on the anatomy of firearms used in Moosewala's murder. Take a look.
A killer breakthrough. They videoed themselves celebrating after shooting dead singer Sidhu Moosewala. They waved their firearms, which investigators have yet to recover. But their make and variety suggests how these gangsters may have upgraded their deadly arsenals. Turkish Zigana pistols, Austrian Glocks, a German Heckler & Koch P30 handgun, a Star pistol that originated in Spain. Investigators say an AK-47 assault rifle was also used in Moosewala's murder. But most of the firearms seen in the video are concealable, capable of firing multiple rounds quickly, requiring less reloading. All imported and likely smuggled in from international criminal networks.
कल रात तकरीबन 11 बजे जब ISBT पे अंकित सिरसा, जो कि सबसे यंगेस्ट शूटर था, वन ऑफ द मोस्ट डेस्परेट था, जिसने दोनों हाथों से फायरिंग करी, और जो सबसे करीब जाके जिसने गोलियां चलाई, उसको अरेस्ट किया।
Almost a month after Moosewala's murder, his father spoke about the scale of threat his star son had faced.
पैरेलल सरकार गैंगस्टर चला रहे ने और ਉਹਨਾਂ ਕੋਲੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਕੋਈ ਆਪਣੀਆਂ ਕੀ ਚੁਗਲੀਆਂ ਕਰੀ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਕੋਲੇ ਪੱਖ ਕਿਹਦੇ ਕੋਲੇ ਰੱਖੀਏ? ਇਹ ਕਿਹੜਾ ਇੱਕ ਹੈ? ਇੱਕ ਕੋਲੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਗੋਡੇ ਰਗੜ ਦਾਂਗੇ ਫਿਰ ਦੂਜਾ ਬੰਦੂਕ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਜੂ, ਜੇ ਦੂਜੇ ਕੋਲੇ ਵਗ ਜਾਾਂਗੇ ਫਿਰ ਤੀਜਾ ਆਜੂ। ਕਿੰਨੇ ਗਰੁੱਪ ਹੈ, ਕੀ ਕੁਛ ਚੱਲੀ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ। ਇਹ ਭਰਾ ਮਾਰੂ ਜੰਗ ਹੈ ਭਰਾਵੋ। ਦੇਖੋ ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਲੀਡਰ ਮਰੇ, ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਗੈਂਗਸਟਰ ਮਰੇ, ਮਰਦੇ ਕਿਹਦੇ ਆ? ਸਾਡੇ ਆਮ ਘਰਾਂ ਦੇ।
Investigations show the gangsters also plan to involve a couple of women in the murder, one posing as a reporter and the other as a policewoman raiding Moosewala's home. Both were to be followed by the assassins. But the Lawrence Bishnoi gang didn't find the women to enroll for the actual killing.
With that report, it's time for a quick commercial break here. News continues on the other side. Do stay on with us.
La main des aides-soignants. Pourquoi? Parce que les aides-soignants aujourd'hui, ils sont globalement sous l'eau. Ils ne peuvent plus faire leur métier qui est de soigner. Et donc nous, Emobots, on leur fournit cette information de l'état émotionnel. Ils vont pouvoir mieux comprendre l'évolution de l'émotion de leurs résidents, de leurs patients, et derrière on sera aussi capable d'objectiver. C'est-à-dire qu'aujourd'hui quand on fait un test pour la dépression, c'est un test normé, ponctuel, où on demande à la personne de verbaliser les informations. Et donc ça pose plein de problèmes, et notamment des difficultés pour les personnes qui ne peuvent pas verbaliser.
Everyone's busy finding what's trending. You're busy finding out why. India Today, for those who research before reacting. Download the India Today app now.
You are watching India.
Wastage is not just a social problem but an environmental one too. It is important to take concrete steps to ensure food wastage is avoided at all costs. Why we shouldn't waste food? When we waste food, we waste the labor, the effort, investment and precious resources. It also increases greenhouse gas emissions and contributes to climate change. What you can do? Reduce. Be more mindful of food you buy what you use and use it all. Improve food storage and reduce wastage at home. Reuse. If you don't eat everything you make, freeze it for later. Use the leftovers as an ingredient in another meal. Recycle. Recycle as much as possible. Try composting and put nutrients back into the soil. You can also start your own green patch of fruits, vegetables or herbs. With these easy ways, you can reduce food wastage and become a food hero.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices.
You are watching watching India Today.
Hello there, very good afternoon. You're watching India Today TV. I'm Sneha Moldani. Let's get you the top stories, the headlines this Saturday afternoon first. This is an India Today mega exclusive, a Museala murder probe revelation. Chilling audio conversations leading up to brutal murder of Sidhu Moosewala has been accessed by us. Gangster Goldy Brar monitored the murder with every instruction given on the phone. All of this while he was sitting in Canada. India Today exclusively accesses a shocking video 8 days before Kanhaiya Lal's heinous murders. Sartan se juda chants openly raised in this rally. India today uncovers massive anti-India plot. Hackers from Malaysia and Indonesia wage a cyber war against India over Nupur Sharma's puppet remarks. Indian officials approach Interpol to take legal action. Filmmaker Leena provokes once again, says My Kali is queer. Free-spirited slams Hindutva, saying My Kali dismantles Hindutva. Multiple FIRs have been filed against Leena in India. Massive tragedy hits Amarnath. 16 dead, over 48 severely injured after cloudburst triggered flash floods. Several tents washed away. NDRF, ITBP rescue operations underway. After months of high drama, world's richest man Elon Musk terminates $44 billion Twitter deal, citing breach in merger agreement. Twitter vows legal fight. India today has access to chilling audio conversation, in fact several conversations leading up to the brutal murder of Sidhu Moosewala. The tapes reveal how Canada-based gangster tipped off Moosewala's shooters on the day of the murder on the 29th of May and the day leading up to it. Moosewala's shooters drank and partied after the assassination. Shooters referred to Goldy Brar as Dr. Sahab, who kept close tabs on Moosewala's every single move. Brar informed the killers when singer's security was removed. When he left the house, he even told the shooters where to drop off the weapons after the attack.
Finally,
Sidhu Moosewala.
Shreya Chatterjee is getting us more details on that story. We'll also go across to Arvind Doja in a few moments from now. But to Shreya first. Shreya, this conversation that has been accessed by India today just speaks volumes of the meticulous planning that went into the murder, and two people who were not even physically present there or in the vicinity were doing this from another country altogether. Lawrence Bishnoi was actually in jail, and most importantly in these conversations, Goldy Brar, sitting in Canada, executed this murder, and so effectively.
Well, absolutely so, Sneha. And you know, and all of these people, somewhere down the line, they were anticipating a move by the Punjab government of also downgrading the security of Sidhu Moosewala, because that is what points out from those call details that has been exclusively accessed. Now, it was on 28th of May that the first call was made by Goldy Brar, sitting in Canada, to Priyavrat Fauji to say that now the security has been downgraded. The entire plan has to be executed. Priyavrat Fauji very categorically said that yes, we are ready for it, and that's how the entire murder plan then went ahead. Remember, two more calls were made by Goldy Brar on the day of the murder. First, when Goldy Brar said that there is a dhaba near to the location on the Haryana route where both the modules should be meeting. That is the Bolero module head, which was being headed by Priyavrat Fauji, and the Corolla module, which is by another shooter, Manpreet Mannu and Jagreep Rupa. Now, these people, they met at the dhaba. Following that, at 4:30, just prior to the murder, they were again given a go-ahead call. Remember, the other people like Kekra, who were wrecking the locations, were also on direct touch with Goldy Brar, who was sitting in Canada. All of them addresses Goldy Brar as Dr. Sahab. But the interesting point, Sneha, as I was earlier saying, that somewhere down the line, Goldy Brar was in anticipation that the Punjab government will be downgrading the security, is why these modules, these shooters, they were already located in Haryana, one at the Uklana Mandi area, the other at another location, and they were ready for it. So that is a loophole that, you know, time and again is coming forward. However, the Punjab police has definitely failed to take any strong action, because it's the Delhi police, in fact, who has arrested all these shooters so far. Three more even now, they are still on the run.
Three of them are still on the run, but it just goes on to show the manner in which this entire conspiracy was hatched, and it actually all began in the year 2021. We'll tell our viewers more about that, but for the moment, we're playing out this report. India today has accessed the biggest disclosure ever in the Sidhu Moosewala murder case. We have learned that days before Moosewala was killed, gangster Lawrence Bishnoi, who was lodged in Tihar jail, got his brother Anmol Bishnoi and his nephew Sachin out of India by arranging a fake passport. The passports of gangster skin were made from the Delhi Regional Passport Office. It was a well-hatched-out conspiracy to protect his brother and nephew and to leave no link behind to the murder of Sidhu Moosewala. Bishnoi settled them abroad from where they could coordinate, facilitate and successfully execute this horrific crime. Shocking details have emerged in the Sidhu Moosewala murder case. It has now been revealed that the plot to kill Moosewala was hatched not just across states but across countries. According to the new details that we have accessed, the murder mastermind, gangster Lawrence Bishnoi, started plotting the singer's murder in the year 2021. India today has accessed this exclusive information. Here is a detailed report.
Nearly a month since singer Sidhu Moosewala's killing, murky details of the murderous plot are emerging. It has now been revealed that the plot to kill Moosewala was hatched not just across states, but across countries. Gangster Lawrence Bishnoi, named as the murder mastermind, had actually started plotting the singer's killing way back in 2021. Bishnoi had enlisted his brother Anmol and nephew Sachin for the hit job. Lawrence Bishnoi flew his brother Anmol out of India as part of the Kill Moosewala plot. He was sent to Europe so he could evade security agencies. From Europe, Anmol got in touch with Bishnoi's partner in crime and another dreaded gangster, Goldy Brar, in Canada. That's how the conspiracy to kill Moosewala was hatched. The final signal for the singer's murder was given via a video call. After conducting a recce of Moosewala's house on 29th May, gangster Kekra accompanied Nikku Takhatmal on his motorcycle. They were present at Sidhu Moosewala's house when he came out of the gate. Nikku and Kekra took a selfie with Sidhu Moosewala on Nikku's mobile phone, who further made a video call to Sachin Thapan and informed him that the singer had left his house without security and that he was in the driver's seat of the black Thar. Not just that, the plan to eliminate Moosewala was hatched immediately after Bishnoi aide Vicky Middukhera's death. Lawrence Bishnoi has told the investigators that the motive to kill Moosewala was clear. Not only did he belong to a rival gang, but Bishnoi claims that Moosewala would provoke and challenge his gang with songs about women. With Arvind Ojha in Mohali, Bureau Report, India Today.
We have some news just coming in. Let's go straight to that. The RSS has slammed Mahua Moitra's remarks on Makali. RSS says no one should hurt religious sentiments. Use creative freedom carefully is what the RSS essentially has indicated. Remember, this comes at a time when filmmaker Leena has depicted Makali in a controversial way, showing her smoking a cigarette and holding an LGBTQ flag. This has sparked off huge outrage in India, and the RSS now has stepped in. Dev Ankur is getting us more details, joining us from Jhunjhunu right now. In Rajasthan, Dev, the RSS has spelled out his position, rather predictable though, saying that there is a limit to creative freedom as well, isn't it?
Well, good afternoon, Sneha. I can tell you that this was one of the main issues that was discussed at the Jhunjhunu All India Prant Pracharaks meet of the RSS. At this particular meeting, the RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat, apart from several other senior functionaries including C.R. Mukund, Arun Kumar, apart from that, Dattatreya Haspole and several other members of the organization were present. And as far as the remarks by Mahua Moitra in the wake of that poster depicting Ma Kali is concerned, the RSS has clearly mentioned that creative freedom has been a tradition in India, but no one should think that that person can hurt the sentiments of the religious sentiments of another person, and creative freedom is something which needs to be handled carefully. Also, when asked about the communal harmony or the disturbances in communal harmony in the country in the wake of the Udaipur killing and the Pune killing, the RSS clearly maintained that no one has the right to kill anyone. If you are protesting against something, if you do not agree with something, there are ways of protesting peacefully. Should have been done rather than issuing death threats to someone. So the RSS has clearly stated in unambiguous terms that it believes that no one has the right to kill anyone, and it has also, importantly, Sneha, Sunil Ambekar, who is the All India Prachar Pramukh of the RSS, minced no words while mentioning that if you disagree with someone, then you have the rights to protest peacefully. And he also mentioned that there are several protests going on against the Udaipur killing in the Hindu society, and also mentioned that the Muslim society should also come forward and condemn unequivocally the killing of Kanhaiya Lal in Udaipur. So the RSS, clearly coming out and hitting out against the kind of communal violence that has taken place in India in the last few days. Sneha.
Yes, Dave, you mentioned an important point that the RSS has made today, given the kind of aggressive muscle flexing that we're seeing from both sides, talking about revenge and talking about threats. The RSS clearly says that this is not the way forward, essentially. That too is a message to many, in fact, from both sections of both of these religious communities, where there is a lot of aggression that is on display, isn't it?
Well, absolutely, Sneha. We have witnessed the kind of violence that had taken place in the aftermath of the remarks by the former BJP spokesperson Nupur Sharma, and in the aftermath of the Udaipur killing of Kanhaiya Lal, there have been several protests in almost all the major districts of Rajasthan against that barbaric, horrific killing that took place on June 28th. The RSS clearly coming out today and maintaining that if you disagree with someone, then you have the right to protest peacefully, to register your protest, but no one has the right to kill someone. And he mentioned that, any amount of condemnation against such a killing is less, that the Hindu society has already been protesting. There have been protests going on in various parts of the country against the killing. And he also importantly mentioned, Sneha, that the Muslim society should also come forward in a bid to maintain communal harmony in the country, in a bid to ensure that the social fabric of the country is not disturbed. So I also asked, the All India Prant Prachar Pramukh that whether the Sarsang Chalak or the RSS chief mentioned anything to the Swayam Sevaks regarding maintaining communal harmony. So he mentioned that, that this has been the underlining theme of this meeting. It's a very important meeting which had been going on in Jhunjhunu district of Rajasthan since July 7. And he also mentioned, Sneha, that in the centenary year of RSS, which will be 2025, in the run-up to that, the RSS is planning to expand itself. It's planning to ensure that it holds, programs, at least 1 lakh programs in various parts of the country. The bid is to ensure that more members are added to the organization, and it has also maintained that it will do, whatever it thinks is right for ensuring that the protection of the Hindu society is ensured in the future. The RSS, importantly, Sneha, all the Prant Prachar Pramukhs of the RSS, of the 45 regions in the country, are over here. Senior functionaries of the Rashtriya Swayam Sevak Sangh are currently camping in Jhunjhunu in Rajasthan, and all of these people have been, deliberating, discussing all the important issues of social importance, of political importance. In fact, importantly, Sneha, BL Santosh, who is the organizing secretary from the BJP, he is also present at this RSS meet. There are several elections also which will be held, assembly elections which will be held next year and this year in the country, and perhaps the BJP wants to get a sense of what the RSS thinks on the various issues of social importance and the way the communal harmony has been disturbed in the country in the last few days and months, including the horrific
All right, Dev, Ankur getting us all of those details. I'm thanking you for the moment. We'll come back to you for more on that. Meanwhile, the controversy around TMC MP Mahua Moitra's remarks doesn't seem to end anytime soon. BJP's Amit Malviya has now attacked Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee for not taking any action against Mahua's Kali is meat eating, accepting alcohol, accepting goddess remark. In a scathing attack at Mamata, Malviya said she is not taking any action against Mahua because it may upset her Muslim vote bank. Malviya said Mamata fears she will be labelled as pro-Hindu if she acts against Mahua. Malviya's attack comes days after TMC party distanced itself from Mahua's attack. Filmmaker Leena has provoked yet again and she remains defiant. In an interview with Voice of America, Leena said her Kali is queer and called her free-spirited. She's also called the reaction against her smoking Kali poster an outrage. Here is a detailed report.
Facing massive outrage, protest and multiple FIRs across India, filmmaker Leena provokes again. She remains defiant and combative. In an interview with Voice of America, Leena has said, "My Kali is queer. She's a free spirit. She spits at the patriarchy. Kali dismantles Hindutva." Leena, now based in Canada, termed the reaction against her smoking Kali poster an outrage. The latest defiant statement comes after she tweeted a picture of a man and woman dressed as Shiva and Parvati smoking. Meanwhile, trouble is mounting for the filmmaker in India. The Madhya Pradesh government has issued a lookout circular against Leena. Multiple FIRs have also been filed against her in India.
दिनांक 7 जुलाई 2022 को वादी मुकदमा श्री अनिरुद्ध जायसवाल पुत्र स्वर्गीय कालीशंकर जायसवाल निवासी थाना जूही कानपुर नगर ने लिखित तहरीर देकर फिल्म काली की फिल्म मेकर लीलामणि व अन्य उनके सहयोगियों के ऊपर कथित रूप से धार्मिक भावनाओं को अपमानित करने के संबंध में अभियोग पंजीकृत कराया।
The BJP has sought suspension of a Twitter account for allegedly insulting Hindu gods and goddesses. The microblogging site, while not acceding to the BJP's demand, has taken down Leena's post on Goddess Kali that shows the deity as smoking cigarettes. Bureau Report, India Today.
Meanwhile, India Today has accessed a shocking video related to Kanhaiya Lal's gruesome beheading. The video exclusively accessed is of the 20th of June, which is 1 week before he was beheaded by Islamists. The video shows how Sar Tan Se Juda chants were openly raised without fearing anyone. Hundreds of Muslims chanted Sar Tan Se Juda slogans from just a kilometer away where Kanhaiya Lal was beheaded. It was this protest where the proposal to behead Kanhaiya Lal was passed for backing Nupur Sharma's comment against Prophet Muhammad. Sources say cops and intelligence department did nothing to stop such a gathering. The Gehlot government is now under fire for inaction against the mob that raised these slogans. Kanhaiya Lal was beheaded a week after this mob march took place and raised Sar Tan Se Juda slogans.
पिछले कुछ दिनों में इस्लामिक जिहादियों द्वारा संपूर्ण भारत में कभी कहीं से तो कभी कहीं से हिंदुओं को डराने धमकाने, उनको मारने, नृशंस हत्याएं करने और इस्लाम के नाम पर लोगों को आतंकित करने का जो षड्यंत्र बड़े पैमाने पर चल रहा है.
Meanwhile, Hindu groups also hit the streets in the national capital against the Udaipur and Amravati killings. Protesters raised Desh ke Gaddaron ko provocative slogans at this protest, holding the national flags in their hand. Protesters demanded strict action against the forces working against the country. The protest took place from Mandi House in Delhi to Jantar Mantar. It led to massive traffic jams. The group called the march Constitution Sankalp Yatra. Earlier, the VHP, the Vishwa Hindu Parishad, and the Bajrang Dal also released helpline numbers on Twitter for various states, asking people to approach the Bajrang Dal activists if they face any threat from people of another community.
Against the gruesome killings in Amravati and Udaipur, the Hindu Manch has called for a Sankalp March, which you can see is happening right now in the New Delhi district of the national capital. You can see the visuals of people carrying the national flag with a very pertinent call that is action against any forces that is against the country. However, in the same yatra, we've seen controversial slogans also being raised. This yatra is right now happening in the New Delhi district, and from the Mandi House region till Jantar Mantar, they will be walking, post which there's a stage that's been put forward where there will be discussions and dialogue on how to probably take forward, as they believe there's an action that is.
This is a Mega India Today exclusive. We are being joined by AGS Dhaliwal, Special CP, Delhi Police. Thank you so much for your time. Arvind Oja, who's brought us that exclusive story on the telephonic conversations of Goldy Brar with the shooters in the case of Sidhu Moosewala murder, is also with us. Mr. Dhaliwal, I want to begin by asking you, what more information can you share with us about this telephonic conversation, the manner in which this conspiracy was hatched with Goldy Brar sitting in Canada?
See, we have already shared the details. I mean, we all know that there were three masterminds who were sitting abroad and trying to organize all the shooters and logistics. So they were brother of Lawrence Bishnoi. Then there was Goldy Brar, and third person was Sachin Bishnoi. And another supporting guy was Vikram Brar. And we all know the names of 6 shooters and how it panned out.
Yes. So this essentially is a conspiracy that was carried across countries. The other 2 people who were sitting abroad, apart from Goldy Brar, are the nephew and the brother of Lawrence Bishnoi?
Yeah, one is a cousin of Lawrence Bishnoi and one is the real brother of Lawrence Bishnoi.
How did Lawrence Bishnoi manage to pack them off to these 2 countries? One of them is in fact Dubai and the other one is Europe. Do we have a confirmation?
I mean, you know, now presently, see, they all have gone on fake passports, both of these people, and it is not, you know, definite where they are at the moment. We know broadly the names and details now as to, you know, what aliases they used and addresses they used to get those passports and leave the country.
This conspiracy, Mr. Dhaliwal, was hatched from 2021 is what we really understand from our own report. How is it that the security of Sidhu Moosewala was withdrawn? There's a huge question mark if this conspiracy was being hatched from the year 2021, isn't it?
See, now, these are, you know, I mean, basically, you know, Delhi police is only focusing on catching the criminals involved in shootout, the shooters, the mastermind, the people who did logistics. These are all questions which actually we have not really looked at any of these, so we may not be the right organization to ask these.
I understand, but this appears to be a well-oiled machinery with Goldy Brar in conversation with the shooters, with those who carried out recce.
Yes, it's a very elaborate planning, the way it has been staged, the way, you know, everything was on need-to-know basis. And one set of people did not know about the other set of people. You know, we all have shared these details. Are like, you know, weapon supply did not know who the person, the recipient was. The people who organized vehicles, they did not know the purpose of the vehicles meant for, and where all the shooters stayed subsequent and even before the crime. Many of those people did not know as to their real motives. So, I mean, it's a very well planned crime.
I also want to know, the father of Sidhu Moosewala has said that Moosewala was in fact on the hit list of at least 60 people. 60, that's a mind-boggling number. What really could have been the motive behind this? Is this some sort of inter-gang rivalry? What had Moosewala got to do with this inter-gang rivalry?
See, we have already, you know, there were a lot of smaller factors which could have led to some, you know, misunderstanding, you know, in Punjabi music industry, etc., etc. But we already have mentioned this earlier. I mean, at the cost of repetition, one of the main trigger points was Vicky Middukheda's killing on 7th August 2021 in Mohali. So Vicky Middukheda was very close to Lawrence Bishnoi, and since Moosewala's, very close associate's name figured in it. In receiving the shooters who shot Vicky Medukheda, and his role in, providing them logistics, providing them vehicle, showing them Vicky Medukheda's house. So that was one reason why there was grave, I would say miscommunication or whatever, where this part of, Lawrence Bishnoi syndicate, they thought that, the person who's in very close proximity to Sidhu, he has been instrumental in, getting their very close associate killed. But Sidhu Moosewala's personal name, nothing has come, I would say, in all our investigation till now, because, the main, again, we have repeated this, the investigation of the case per se is not our focus. Our focus is just to, catch the mastermind and the shooters and the people who provided the logistics.
Now, how do you really get to Goldy Brar, who's sitting in Canada? How difficult is it going to be?
See, Punjab police has already moved RCN for Goldy Brar, and they are working on it, and I'm sure they will get him.
Sir, be with us. In fact, Arvind Oja, who broke this exclusive story for India Today, is also now with us. Arvind would like to take a couple of questions from you as well. Arvind.
सर, मिस्टर धालीवाल, पहला सवाल ये है कि ये जांच में खुलासा हुआ है, आप ही ने सारे शूटर्स पकड़े हैं, कि ये कोड नेम में बात करते थे, जिसमें गोल्डी बरार का जो कोड नेम डॉक्टर बताया जा रहा है, तो ये कोड नेम रखने का क्या मकसद हो सकता है? क्या आप एजेंसी से बचना, कन्वर्सेशन अगर हो जाती है तो सर?
हाँ, ये मेन पर्पस तो यही होता है, और जो मेन परपेट्रेटर्स हैं क्राइम के, वो नॉर्मली एलियासेस और अपना कोड नेम रख लेते हैं। जैसे काला जथेड़ी का अल्फा रखा हुआ था, गोल्डी ब्राड का डॉक्टर रखा हुआ था, एक इनका और एसोसिएट था, उसका टाइगर रखा हुआ था, तो दे कीप यूजिंग दिस।
सर, एक और चीज मैं जानना चाहूंगा कि जब आपने शूटर्स को पकड़ा और आपने खुद ने कई गैंगस्टर को इस दौरान इंट्रोगेट किया खुद ने, तो ये जो पूरा ये मर्डर था, 28 मई को क्या पहली कॉल गोल्डी बरार की आई थी शूटर्स को, और क्या 29 तारीख को भी गोल्डी बरार लगातार शूटर्स से कोऑर्डिनेट कर रहा था सर?
हाँ जी, 28 को भी आई थी। 28 को उसने बोला कि कल काम करना है। 29 को भी आई, तकरीबन 4 बजे के आसपास आई, जब उसने बोला कि इनके घर के दरवाजे खुलने वाले हैं या इनकी मूवमेंट होने वाली है। फिर जैसे मूवमेंट हो गई तो फिर उसने दोनों मॉड्यूल्स को कॉल किया और बोला कि उनकी मूवमेंट हुई है, उनके दोनों साथी जो हैं आर्म्ड गार्ड नहीं है, 2 दोस्तों के साथ हैं और थार गाड़ी में हैं। और फिर वारदात को अंजाम देने के बाद ये बोलेरो वाले का तो हमें पता है क्योंकि इसको अरेस्ट किया है, तो प्रियव्रत फौजी ने उसको कॉल बैक करके बताया था कि जो हमें काम दिया था हमने कर दिया है।
तो सर, आप फिर से मैं आपसे वो सवाल पूछना चाहूंगा, एक तो कोड नेम का 28 तारीख को सर क्या पहली कॉल्स आई थी गोल्डी बरार की कि सिक्योरिटी कम की गई, तो अब पोस्ट वाला उसके पीछे लग जाओ प्रियव्रत फौजी को सर?
नहीं, उससे पहले भी आई, जब वेपन आए 2 हफ्ते पहले तकरीबन प्रियव्रत के पास फतेहबाद में, तब भी गोल्डी बरार उससे संपर्क में था, तो काफी देर से वो प्लानिंग में शामिल था।
सर, मेरा ये सवाल है कि क्या पहले भी इस तरह की कोई प्लानिंग थी कि जो जब ये नहीं मार पा रहे थे, क्योंकि कई बार प्लानिंग की आप ही की इन्वेस्टिगेशन में हुई, ये खुलासा हुआ है, क्या 2 लेडी गैंगस्टर को भी इन्वॉल्व करने वाले थे? वो क्या प्लानिंग थी सर, उसके बारे में कुछ बता दीजिए।
अरविंद, हम बार बार देखो ये चीजें पहले काफी बोल चुके हैं, आपको बताया कि तरन साइड के कोई 3 शूटर थे जिन्होंने इनके साथ शामिल होना था। तब एक लड़की का भी जिक्र आया था, लेकिन वो बहुत ज्यादा प्रोब नहीं हो पाया क्योंकि वो लोगों ने इवेंचुअली इनको ज्वाइन नहीं किया। आई एम श्योर पंजाब पुलिस भी इस पे काम कर रही होगी, तो हम वही चीजें बार बार क्यों पूछे जा रहे हैं।
शुक्रिया हमसे बात करने के लिए।
थैंक यू।
All right, that was an exclusive conversation with HES Dhaliwal. I'm thanking you for the moment. Thank you for joining us and sharing your views with us on that important story that we're tracking as far as Sidhu Moosewala's murder case is concerned. Right now, there is a big story and that is breaking in our neighboring country of Sri Lanka. This is rather shocking. The president of Sri Lanka has fled amid a massive protest that has broken out. In fact, these are pictures coming in from Sri Lanka of protesters who were storming into the president's residence. They managed to do so in spite of the huge presence of the police force right there. The turmoil in Sri Lanka, essentially the political turmoil continues amid the economic crisis, with President Gotabaya Rajapaksa fleeing as protesters storm his residence. The beleaguered president has fled his official residence in the capital, is what we are confirming for our viewers. Remember, the island is struggling under severe foreign exchange shortage that has limited essential imports of fuel, food and medicine. There's growing discontent with the administration and with the government. Now the president is having to flee Colombo. He's fled from his official residence as protesters storm it. Tear gas shells being used by the police. You can see the protesters trying to shield themselves also from the effect of tear gas shells. They're pouring water into their eyes. However, we're talking about the economic crisis in Sri Lanka. Now, this is the worst financial turmoil in years together that Sri Lanka has seen. Protesters have been carrying black flags and national flags and shouting slogans against Gotabaya Rajapaksa, asking him to run away, asking him to go back home. The police has fired tear gas shells at the anti-government protesters, telling our viewers that the president has now fled. We don't know about his whereabouts, but what we know is that he has fled Colombo. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa flees as protesters surround the residence, is what we can confirm to our viewers. These are pictures of tear gas shells being used by the Sri Lankan police against the protesters who've cleared out the residence, the official residence of the Sri Lankan president there. The crisis in Sri Lanka continues. The political turmoil and the economic crisis in Sri Lanka continues, with the president fleeing as protesters surround his official residence. Sri Lankan President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has fled his home as protesters surrounded his residence. This comes at a time when the economic crisis in Sri Lanka continues, and this of course has led to a political turmoil as well. Protesters, we understand, have entered the residence of the president, is what we know. Thousands of them gherowing the main entrance of the President House in fort after putting down layers of barricades, and the police seen withdrawing from the area as well, trying to first fire tear gas shells, trying to bring the situation under control. Shots have been also heard, is what we understand. Continuous rounds of tear gas is being fired, is what we are picking up from independent reports. Well, that report brings us to the end of this edition. For all details, you can log on to our website, that's indiatoday.in. You can also download the India Today app. Thank you for watching.
You are watching India Today.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com or call 9999892171.
Killer robots sound like something out of a science fiction horror film, but advances in technology mean that fully autonomous weapons could one day become a reality, transforming warfare. Autonomous weapons, which use artificial intelligence to select targets, are already being developed, aimed at reducing cost and risk to human soldiers, while increasing speed and efficiency in action. Unlike drones, which are operated by humans, killer robots would have some autonomous decision-making ability and capacity to act. Fully autonomous weapons would be capable of acting without any human intervention. They've been described as the third revolution in warfare after gunpowder and nuclear arms. Some of the world's most prominent scientists believe that fully autonomous weapons pose an unacceptable threat to humanity and could trigger an artificial intelligence arms race. In April 2013, a group of non-governmental organizations launched the Campaign to Stop Killer Robots, an international coalition working to ban fully autonomous weapons. The International Committee for Robot Arms Control, meanwhile, campaigns for the peaceful use of robotics and regulation of robot weapons.
You are watching India Today.
A lot of us are now vaccinated against COVID-19, but does that really protect us against the fifth variant of concern, which is Omicron? It apparently doesn't. The recent subtypes of Omicron seem to be escaping immunity, both from natural infection and also vaccine-acquired immunity. New research seems to be suggesting that the new subtypes of Omicron, including the second generation subtypes, are much more transmissible. Subvariants BA.2, .12, .1, BA.4 and BA.5 were already reported in India. So is there a higher risk of reinfection, or is there a higher risk of breakthrough infections? Yes is the answer. Research has found that Omicron appears to be able to evade the antibodies generated by other variants as well. In vaccinated individuals, the virus neutralization is less, but for unvaccinated people, it remains superior. And that's the reason why Omicron has the highest number of percentage of breakthrough infections. Scientists are trying to understand and develop strategies to prevent severe disease, hospitalization and deaths. Evidently, the virus continues to evolve. The subvariants are becoming much more dominant. Though the subtypes are becoming stronger, vaccines continue to protect against severe infection. Vaccines, however, may not protect against the spread of the infection. These findings can be a cause of concern for India, where the new subtype of Omicron, BA.2.75, has emerged in at least 10 states. Medical experts believe that in this case, there can be more infection.
A robotics special. Is Alexa always listening? A lot of tech hacks. I'm smiling, but I'm not only smiling because of this action-packed show, but also because we're back in the Tech Today studio here in Mumbai. We were in the US for a while and we covered a lot of cool things. You've seen them on the Business Today and India Today social media and digital handles, but now this is the finale on our show. My name is Ayush Alavadi. You are watching your favorite technology show, Tech Today. Let's begin. I want to start off today's show with a question. When you look at a robot, especially in a YouTube video or an Instagram reel, what goes on in your mind? Is it that this is just a cute little monster with no real use case? Is this a gimmick? Is this a game changer? Something that can actually make your life a whole lot easier. Now, I met a bunch of robots over the past couple of weeks here in India and of course in the US as well. And I found a few of them very, very useful. Some of them were cute as well, but some of them were very useful. I also spoke to the experts, especially at Amazon Robotics and a bunch of other experts, and asked them, is there a genuine threat from robots, or do they make our lives a whole lot easier? And will they one day take my job away? Here's what they had to say.
A lot of people will lose jobs when we're talking about robots becoming a lot more ubiquitous and a lot more adoption in that space. And then the other side talks about how this can really augment what already exists. Where does Ty Brady stand on either end of that argument?
I stand with our data. And our data shows that we've added more than 520,000 drive units to our fulfillment centers. And in that period, we've created more than 1 million new jobs, right? So more robots, more jobs. Now, robotics has to be done right. It has to be done in a way that enables human capability, that extends human reach. And this is where we focus on making our robotics easier and safer for our employees to use. And when done right, that actually helps create jobs. And that's what we've seen inside of Amazon. But it has to be done right. It's not a humans versus machine type of relationship. Hardly. The way that we frame our relationship with machines is it's humans and machines working together to create a symphony of amazing work to be done.
This is a robotic dog from Boston Dynamics, and he and I seem to be getting along quite well. Right, Spot? Like I said, my cute friend Spot is like a lot of the robots here, but then he's no ordinary robot either. He can do a lot of cool things and has very interesting use cases. Spot, hundreds, maybe 1,000 of them have sold already here in the US, and it's not a cheap robot. It costs $100,000 for an enterprise edition. It essentially works on these 4 legs, and whilst it's working on these 4 legs, it perceives the area around it. It's got 5 camera sensors, which are controlled by the joystick I was using earlier. It took me half an hour to understand how it works, and maybe I can become a Spot driver or a controller in the future. But this has a lot of use cases. Think about it. Robots like this, with capabilities like this, you can put it on a dock and charge it, right? In an hour, you'll have a decent amount of charge to get you going. And once it's done, you can take this to places where human beings can't go, or things that human beings can't do, send it to construction sites, work in the mining space. That's what Spot can do. It's yellow colored, and I've heard that a lot of customers have taken Spot and then colored it and customized it the way they want it. They'd have to be very careful whilst doing that because it's full of technology all over it, right? You have sensors all over. It can essentially map everything that it sees, scale a mountain as long as the battery lasts, get into all sorts of construction sites where there's debris, climb steps. Yes, Spot is fantastic at climbing steps. We've seen it do it a lot out here at this conference as well, and it's quite a crowd puller at that too, right? Everyone wants a photo with Spot. He's quite a popular guy. Yes, Spot, thank you so much. He seems to like me, like I said. Maybe he seems to like getting featured on Tech Today. Look, Spot is the sort of technology that we like to showcase in terms of innovation on Tech Today. For the past 2 years, we've been seeing it from afar, but today we wanted to spend the day with Spot, bring this Boston Dynamics robot to you on Tech Today, and let us know what you think of Spot. For now, I'm going to chill with him a little bit more, and maybe Spot, do you want to get something to eat? Let's do that. I'll see you soon. What kind of fields and sectors are we seeing people actually spending $100,000? That's a lot of money on a robot, but this is no ordinary robot. What fields and what sectors are we seeing customers coming for?
We've seen Spot being used in a wide range of fields. So there's the academic field where we open Spot up through an API and allow universities around the world to be able to develop their own platforms and their own innovations on top of this robot. So it's a really great platform for research and innovation that you're going to see years down the road. Some of the innovations that are being developed on this robot today are just going to come to light years from now from some of the great universities using this solution. Commercial applications, Spot is in manufacturing facilities, it's in energy plants, anywhere where equipment needs to be monitored and assessed for its overall equipment health, right? So, when you think about, yes, it's a 6-figure investment for a robot, but it is substantially more than that when a piece of equipment is going to fail, or better yet, provide maintenance, proactive maintenance on that equipment to prevent it from failing. You saved as much for the robot and then some. Savings become astronomical at that point. So it becomes an investment for companies who want to make sure that they don't have unexpected failures that are far more costly than the robot is.
Now, working on tech today is a lot of fun, but there's also a lot of travel, and we come to a lot of conferences like this all over the world. We're here right now in Las Vegas, and I've been carrying this bag around with me. We also have a camera bag, a backpack. There's a lot of work, and there's a lot of majdoori as well. How can we use technology to make our lives easier? Well, this is the Piaggio Jita Mini. And this can make your life a lot easier if you're at a tech conference. What it essentially does is you can keep your bag in it. Then it has a sensor package right over here, which comes with an RGB camera. It has sensors which let it know where the owner of that bag is. I press this button, and you know what? My bag's out there, and now I'm on my way. It's going to follow me around as I walk and check out all the stalls at this conference. And this is the sort of tech that makes your life a whole lot easier. The Piaggio is right here. You press the button and take your bag, and you're on your way. For more such content, stay tuned to Tech Today. Oh, you're shooting. Well, let me stop this bike. This is the wheel bike, no ordinary bike. It looks kind of cool. It's here in Las Vegas, but you will be able to get this maybe sometime later only in Seattle. It is a prototype, and we love focusing on innovative products here on Tech Today. And this is a special electric experience. This electric bike can go up to 20 miles per hour, and on a single charge, well, you can get nearly 20-30 miles on this bike. Depends on how you ride it, of course, like any other electric vehicle. But what makes this kind of interesting is one feature which I think is a USP. For a lot of people who don't know how to ride a bike or struggle to, or have issues riding a bike, this one has a self-balancing feature, which I tried out. It takes some time to get used to, but it is fascinating if it finally ends up working. And if it works for you, I think that's a great feature. It has an electric brake right over here. I'll tell you how to get into that self-balancing feature. There's a button, there's a couple of buttons here. You flick the lower button when you're past 2 miles per hour, and this bike will then go into self-balancing mode. Another thing I want to tell you about the bike is that it is quite interesting in terms of what the app looks like. Now, this app is, of course, still work in progress, but even then, it's quite impressive. If you enter a location that you want to go to in the maps, this bike and this app will tell you how much charge you'd require to get there. And I think that is an interesting proposition. Now, you also have a dashboard which tells you everything about the bike, whether you have no hands, one hand. I think it's a cool concept. And I think, of course, when people will start riding stuff like this, it'll be interesting to see how a lot of people back home would respond to this, because this seems compact. It seems kind of cool. You work a little more on the design, and we have a winner. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ride around Las Vegas in this and maybe hope to get it to the Tech Today studio very soon. Until then, well, see you soon. Now, from all the robots that we met in the US and even the cyber dog by Xiaomi that we met here in India, this, the Jita Mini, was something, not only is it a really cute robot, but also something which I think has a very strong use case. At the end of the day, if you have a robot carrier which can take your cargo and follow you around, and hopefully not get stolen along the way. There were a lot of interesting features on the app as well, which I didn't necessarily cover in a short video, but I think there's a solid use case. If this becomes affordable, this would be the first robot that I would pick up. Now, there's a lot more coverage from our travels around the world on the Business Today and India Today social media handles, and if you prefer reading your content, then on our website, and of course in the Business Today magazine, because this is a place where all things cool happen as well, and Tech Today is available as a bunch of pages here in the magazine as well. Now, a very interesting conversation that we actually had whilst we were in Las Vegas was with the chief scientist and SVP at Amazon Alexa, Rohit Prasad, and I had a bunch of questions. Now, we have a bunch of Echo Show devices over here, so are they always listening? Also, what are the privacy and security features that a company like Amazon has? What do they do with our data? And of course, who's the smartest assistant out there? Well, let's find out what he had to say. On the show today, we have a very special guest, Rohit Prasad of Amazon Alexa, the man who really understands what makes Alexa a very smart assistant. But now that's going to be my first question to you, Rohit. Firstly, thanks so much for joining us on the show. And what I really want to understand is, in the battle of voice assistants, from a consumer tech standpoint, everyone looks at Siri Google Assistant, and Alexa. Alexa seems like the smartest of the lot. But first question to you is it the smartest of the lot?
So we in Amazon focus on customers, less so on competition. The competition to just inspire us here, our customers need a lot from us and Alexa, and we are focused on that. And from that perspective, it's a privilege to have billions of requests issued to Alexa every day from hundreds of millions of devices. It's in 70 plus countries, 17 languages. Of course, as you know, it's in Hindi, which makes me very proud because my heritage is there. So I love the fact that we have so many engaged customers, and that's what we measure. Like, are we satisfying our customers' need? Of course, Alexa's AI is one of the most sophisticated systems in terms of the complexity that it has, because to what seems simple with Alexa is actually quite complicated. When you just ask it to play, tell you the weather or play a song, you assume a lot of things that is very hard for the AI to know. And we make it super simple because of its intelligence. That's what I work on every day. And we have a lot to do here in this space.
So, all right, you know, what they say is what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So we'll still say Alexa's the smartest of the lot. And, you know, in terms of the AI sounding a lot more like a human, in India, something very interesting is a localization play with the way Alexa understands English, gives you these really interesting responses like, you know, eating dal chawal every day, or Gabbar and Shah Rukh Khan, and also an Amitabh Bachchan voiceover. Are these things the Alexa team works on at the global level to understand how they can crack other markets?
Absolutely. I would say less so about in the way of we don't view it as markets per se, but more about that your personal assistant, advisor, and companion needs to have that natural voice. And because it's personal to you, you may want a lot of customization to it. So I love I'm a huge Amitabh fan, and I grew up with idolizing him. So his voice is just like amazing voice to have. And when we had the opportunity to work with him, that was awesome. And I have that voice. And I'm saying many of that, but there is a lot of things that we are working on, which is to make the voice be easily customizable to what you want, right? And we are doing that with a lot of markups that you can change the emphasis on the voice, or we have Santa voice, or we have the Amitabh voice, as you mentioned. But this is a huge area of research. Like today, I announced a capability where we can actually generate any personal voice. Like if I would love to have my mom's voice. So that's the kind of capability we announced today as well, that we have the capability in the lab where with just 1 minute of audio, we can generate a very natural voice for anyone.
You know, Rose, we've been talking so much about Alexa devices being ubiquitous. They're always learning, listening, now even seeing and following you around in the form of Astro. Now, for the viewers and, you know, tech enthusiasts watching, we started off talking about privacy and security, but there are always concerns when people read media reports saying, you know, Echo devices are logging all of our conversations. But how do you respond to that in terms of placating some of those concerns?
Absolutely. As you said, privacy is paramount to us. The data security is, we take everything on protecting your data and your privacy very strongly, as we should, because we want to be that trusted service. And for that perspective, I think one thing, if you look at all our decisions, we talked briefly about how when you speak the wake word Alexa, then the light ring comes on, right? When you actually start the conversation, you have to say the word Alexa. And it only listens when it's confident that you have heard the word Alexa on the device, then only starts streaming to the cloud. So that's one set of features. And then you can even go and look up all the data that Alexa has heard you say, and through your companion application or go to the website, all that data is available to you. But we also know that some people will be concerned. So you can opt out of data collection, or you can opt out of human review of the data. So there's more control for you, because we want you to be comfortable with this service. I have 20 plus Alexa devices in my home. Wow. So, and of course I have a lot of private conversations, a lot of critical conversations. So of course I'm also a customer, right? So so we want the same kind of controls in your hands as you being the customer. And we are also brought in the convenience of voice to managing your data. Right. You can say, Alexa, delete what you heard me say today, right? So that is, those are the kind of controls we want, and hopefully our customers will continue to trust us with this.
Fascinating, technological, scientific insights. from the man at Amazon Alexa. Thank you so much, Rohit, for joining us.
Well, so much talk of privacy and security. Now we at Tech Today believe in giving you innovative solutions so that you can keep your privacy and security intact. In the second half of the show, we're going to tell you all about it. But until then, we'll take a short commercial break.
Everyone's busy finding what's trending. You're busy finding out why. India Today, for those who research before reacting. Download the India Today app now.
Shinzo Abe's tragic assassination has shaken the entire world. The former Japanese Prime Minister was shot dead by a 41-year-old man during an election speech. Shinzo Abe came from a powerful family that has been in politics for decades. His grandfather served as a prime minister between 1957 and 1960, and Abe's father served as a foreign minister. He attended the Seke Elementary School and Seke Junior and Senior High School. He studied public administration and graduated with a bachelor's degree in political science from Seke University in 1977. He studied public policy at the University of Southern California School of Policy Planning and Development, now the USC Price School of Public Policy, for 3 semesters in the United States. He served as Japan's Prime Minister for 2 tenures, first from 2000.
Welcome back to Tech Today. I'm your host Ayush Alavadi. Now, if you're talking about privacy and security, then we at Tech Today want to come up with innovative solutions or tech jugaad to make your life a whole lot easier. That's why my colleague Shivan has come up with a very cool solution by which you can give your phone to someone to use without making it an awkward situation, but ensuring that your privacy is intact. Have a look.
Have you ever hesitated handing your phone over to someone because you just know that after the person is done using your phone to make a call or whatever they've asked you for, they are going to peep into your phone, into other apps which you don't want them to see? Here is a hack with which you'll be able to ensure that whoever you hand your phone to, they will not be able to see anything beyond what you want them to see. Here's how you go about it. So first we'll begin with Android users because this hack is available for both Android as well as iOS, but the techniques are different. So first thing what you do is you take your device and you go to settings. Once you're in the settings, you need to go to security. In security, you scroll down and you will find this option of app pinning. Now app pinning, first of all, you need to switch it on, and at the same time also ensure that the pinning range ensures that you pin this page and disallow actions. Basically, that means you need to choose this option so that nobody is able to navigate further beyond the app that you want them to see. Now, after this, if you're handing your phone over to somebody, and if I want them to just stick to this themes app, okay, I go here and right on top, I push on the drop down button and I pin it. Now, no matter what they try, they will not be able to go anywhere beyond this app. And this is all that they'll be able to access in your phone. Now, once you get your phone back, how do you unpin this? Press on the back and the options button together, and your app will be unpinned and you can go back to this. Now, if you're using an iOS device, the technique is going to be different, but again, you'll have to start with the settings. So first you go to your settings, and when you hit settings, go to accessibility. Accessibility will take you to an option called guided access, which you need to turn on. Now you choose an app which you don't want the other person to go beyond. I'll open an app called InShot. Now here, what I do is I press on the home button thrice. And I see this option right up top which says start guided access. I start and I need to put in the passcode of the phone which only I know. So here we go. And guided access has started. Now beyond this point, anybody else will not be able to navigate anywhere else in your phone. This is the only app they will have access to. This is how you do it on iPhones. Now, if you want to switch this off, once you've got your phone back, press on the home button again 3 times and put in your passcode once again and end guided access. There we go, and you're back to your home screen. So you'll be safe and sound with this hack. It's very simple to do. It's available on all phones, regardless of whether it's an Apple device or an Android device, and you'll ensure that your privacy remains intact. So we received a request asking us to give this tech hack, and that's why we're presenting it to you. This is one way with which you can ensure that anybody who has your phone will not see anything beyond what you want them to see. If you want further tech hacks, write into us, leave a comment, and we will ensure that we bring another tech hack for you very soon.
Well, I can only hope that you've enjoyed the show as much as the Tech Today team has enjoyed putting it together for you. If you have, you must write into us. If you haven't, you must let us know on the Business Today, India Today handles, and of course, you can tell me as well if there's something that you didn't like. But you can also tell me if you fancied one of those robots, especially if it was Spot or Jita Mini, or did you like the bike? You gotta let us know what really caught your eye. Until next week, this is your host Ayush Alavadi saying adios. Hey.
I was ready to run through a brick wall when I heard that speech. When we call ourselves cricket-loving nation, are we really cricket-loving nation or are we men's cricket-loving nation? If we love the sport, then who is holding the bat? The gender of the person holding the bat should not really matter. So that is what it conveyed to me. So that's why it is a pivotal moment in the film. It will speak to a lot of us who are going to watch the film and make us think a lot. Why is it important to know the gender of the hero of the film, and basis that the budget is decided of a film? Why is it that an audience has to go for an advance booking of a male hero driven film, but when it comes to a female protagonist film, they have to wait for the reviews? So there are a lot of these whys that I keep questioning and waiting for them to convert into why nots.
You are watching India Today.
Hello there, good afternoon. You're watching India Today TV. I'm Sneha Mordani. Let's get to the top stories this Saturday afternoon. Sri Lanka on the boil. Sri Lankan President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has fled from his residence in the capital of Colombo as tens of thousands of protesters break police barricades blocking the president's house, even getting into his house right now, demanding his resignation. India Today's mega exclusive Moosewala murder probe revelation. Chilling audio conversations leading up to the brutal murder of Sidhu Moosewala has been accessed by us. Gangster Goldy Brar monitored the murder with every instruction given on phone. India Today exclusively accesses a shocking video 8 days before Kanhaiya Lal's heinous murder. Sar Tan se juda chants openly raised in this rally. India Today has uncovered massive anti-India plot. Hackers from Malaysia and Indonesia wage a cyber war against India over Nupur Sharma's Prophet Muhammad remarks. Indian officials approached the Interpol to take legal action.
On dark web.
Filmmaker Leena provokes once again, says my Kali is queer, free-spirited, slams Hindutva, says my Kali dismantles Hindutva. Multiple FIRs have been filed against Leena in India. Massive tragedy hits Amarnath. 16 dead. Over 48 have been severely injured after a cloudburst triggered flash floods. Several tents have been washed away. NDRF and ITBP rescue operations underway. Breaking this story from across the borders, this crisis in Sri Lanka deepening even further as protesters stormed President Rajapaksa's residence in Colombo city, the capital of Sri Lanka. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has fled as protesters surrounded his residence with slogans of "Gota, go home." Protesters tried to barge into the president's residence as they engaged in violent clashes with the police. Police have used tear gas shells to disperse the crowds who tried to jump over the barricade at Rajapaksa's residence is what we know. Absolute mayhem from Colombo. These are pictures, in fact, of heavy bandobast of the police. Sri Lankan police has a while ago used tear gas shells as well to bring the situation under control. Even as he's fled is what we are picking up. These are pictures live on your screen from Colombo there, where protesters have cleared out the residence of Gotabaya Rajapaksa, who himself has fled. We do not know of the whereabouts of Gotabaya Rajapaksa, but what we know is that he's left his official residence as the Sri Lankan police there is trying to bring the situation under control. Remember, there's been an economic and a financial crisis brewing in Sri Lanka for weeks together now. My colleague Pramod Madhav has been tracking these details, is now joining us for more on that. We know nothing absolutely, Pramod, about the whereabouts of the president, the beleaguered president of Sri Lanka, who's now fled. But what we know is that from these pictures, they managed to enter the residence, the official residence of the president.
Well, one thing we clearly know is that the situation has gone worse to completely worse in the island nation, and this has been a situation for several weeks now, and people are unable to tolerate, and reports from the ground claim that this protest was already planned, and that's the reason a police curfew was earlier announced. But seeing that how people were reacting to it, that curfew was removed, and almost an hour ago several hundred people entered the president's residence, and not just that, in that particular chaos 7 people were injured, including 2 policemen. But for now the president Gotabaya Rajapaksa has fled his residence, and no one exactly know where he is. And amidst this chaos, we are getting reports that schools will be declared holiday from 11th to 15th in the island nation, and Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe has also called for an emergency party leaders meet, and post which probably an emergency parliamentary session as well. In fact, 2 days ago when Gotabaya went to the parliament session to attend it, he was actually booed and sent back with the members in the parliament very clearly stating, "Go back, Gota, Gota, go back." That was the only statement, and this is what we could hear from the protesters today as well. They were only saying, "Go back, Gota," which means that for now, all they demand is the resignation of President Gotabaya.
Horrific pictures there coming in from Colombo. Also, what we know from all this, that efforts have been made by the president also to try and help the people of the country. In fact, some efforts were made by Gotabaya Rajapaksa only very recently to approach Russia as far as help is concerned vis-a-vis the shortage of fuel in the country, because of which this economic crisis has sparked off, isn't it?
And from people, the Sri Lankan Tamils who have come from Sri Lanka seeking refugee here, we have got several stories. They very clearly mentioned that there is no food, nothing is affordable. In fact, a kg of rice over there is costing more than 400 rupees, and for a family, if they have one meal, they cannot have another 2. That's a big issue. And the second problem is that if they have to go to work, transportation is very important, but there is no fuel over there. That is turning into a very big problem. In fact, certain people from there who reach Indian shores, they state that they have to wait for nearly 3 days, 4 4 days to get 2 liters of kerosene for cooking, and the situation is much worse when it comes to petrol and diesel. So these are the things that actually, even though on one side Gotabaya tried to actually take care of the situation, it looks like either they need much more counseling as to what to be done at the present time, or it looks like they don't have much time anymore because the people are completely gone. They have no hopes at all, and that's the reason you could see such massive protests and even people storming the president's residence.
Our Foreign Affairs Editor Geeta Mohan is also with us. Pramod, I'll just come back to you for more on that. I'm going to go straight to Geeta for the crisis, Geeta, that we're seeing in front of us. As far as Sri Lanka is concerned, what do we know about the president right now? Has he been escorted to safety? And what really was the trigger to this, Geeta, given that this is not a new crisis per se? This has been brewing for weeks together, isn't it?
Well, absolutely, Sneha. Crisis, an unprecedented scale of crisis in Sri Lanka, never seen before. A country that is witnessing the worst kind of economic stress, the kind of food shortage, fuel shortage that the country is facing and witnessing is now showing in the streets of Sri Lanka, Sneha. And while it is not a new phenomena, how long can people stay without fuel and without adequate food supply or food at very high prices? So patience worn out is what is being witnessed in the streets of Sri Lanka, that the people over there no longer can bear the cost of living in Sri Lanka and have no other option but then to question the government. We do know that Mahinda Rajapaksa had left the residence when the crisis came upon him, when he was Prime Minister, and had moved to Hambantota, which is their own home constituency, to the naval bases there, meaning taking refuge under the security of the armed forces. The president also now has left his residence, but we do not really know of his whereabouts. In all probability, it would again be taking refuge under the security and safety of the forces. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, in a series of tweets, has been talking about and tweeting about the state of affairs. We are also given to understand now that he has called for a meeting, and that meeting will be with the cabinet ministers and party leaders to discuss the situation and resolve the situation swiftly. But the fact is that there is no swift resolution to the crisis that we are seeing.
Yes, Geeta, just come back to you. Please continue to be with us, Geeta. Just hold on to your thoughts. I'm coming back to you in a few moments. Gadapati Subramaniam, senior journalist, is also now joining us. Thank you so much for your time. What is the way out of this crisis, given that the president has approached Russia already, saying that help us when it comes to the fuel shortage, and this is something that we will appreciate. Up until the 22nd of July, there is no fuel in Sri Lanka. And this crisis now, with the president have to flee, what's the way out?
India has been helping as much as possible. Not only India, China has also offered some help, and the international institutions are also trying to help. But it is the people of Sri Lanka and the government of Sri Lanka who have the primary responsibility to rectify the situation. People who are protesting on the streets have made it very clear that the Rajapaksa family does not have their trust. The slogan you would have heard again and again is that go back Gota. Already Mahinda Rajapaksa has resigned. Gotabaya Rajapaksa should have also resigned, but he has not resigned, and he has installed a new government. And the situation continues to go from bad to worse. People are going from frying pan to fire. There is no fuel. The inflation is uncontrollable. And there are so many issues which they are not addressing at all. The priorities seem to be elsewhere.
Given that, Mr. Ganapati Subramaniam,
like this,
the populist sentiment, sir.
They can help themselves.
Yes. Mr. Subramaniam, I want to ask you, given that the populist sentiment is against the Rajapakshas, did you really see this coming? And is this something that eventually is going to, so to speak, end the rule of the Gotabaya of the Rajapaksa brothers? Both Mahinda, like you said, has been shown the door, and this is the time for Gotabaya to go then.
Yeah, you are right. Already Mahinda Rajapaksa has disappeared from the scene, and now probably it is time for Gotabaya and the rest of the family members also. it is this dynasty politics and one family controlling everything has led to corruption and the total lack of governance. And that's what people of Sri Lanka are pointing out again and again. On all these protests for the last 2 months has been going on continuously, emphasizing that this government has been, it's a complete failure. And why do they want to stick to power when they can't rectify the situation? So therefore, it is not just an economic crisis or a monetary crisis. It's more of a political crisis now. And if there is a regime change, the possibility of neighboring countries like India and international institutions helping will be far brighter for Sri Lanka.
You know, what I want to understand from you is that what next, given that the president has to physically flee, in fact, and we have this news. Amid massive protests, the Prime Minister's called for an emergency meeting, key meeting to discuss resolutions amid the crisis in Sri Lanka. A meeting has been called by the Prime Minister to discuss the situation. Gadapati Subramaniam continues to be with us. What next as far as the political administration is concerned, given that the president has also pretty much been forced to really flee, given there are protesters. In fact, we have those pictures of them occupying the president's secretariat in Colombo. Mr. Subramaniam. Okay, we'll just in fact connect with my colleagues in a bit from now. These are pictures, in fact, from the president's house. Insane, absolutely. With the president having to flee, the president's secretariat, the official residence of the Sri Lankan president, has been occupied by protesters who are now taking a dip in the pool. These are pictures from inside the president's official residence in Sri Lanka. Unbelievable the manner in which security has been breached. The Sri Lankan police was unable to bring the situation under control, with thousands of protesters who initially geared out the official residence. And now we have this, with them taking a dip in the pool at the president's house. With the president nowhere in sight, he's been escorted to safety. He's fled essentially. This is the residence of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, who in fact is the sitting president of Sri Lanka, which has seen the worst economic crisis in decades together, which then translated into a political crisis, with the popular sentiment being against the Rajapakshas. Both Mahinda Rajapaksa, who's been shown the door, and Gotabaya Rajapaksa, who continued to hold on to the president's chair. But what next? Is this not end road? And how is then this mayhem really going to be explained by the Sri Lankan police? Our Foreign Affairs Editor, Geeta Mohan, continues to be with us. Geeta, I have not seen anything like this really, with these protesters now taking control of the President House. They're taking a dip into the pool, enjoying this mayhem pretty much. What really is going on, and what is the way out of this crisis, given that the popular sentiment indeed is against the Rajapakshas?
Well, Sneha, news that's just coming in again, reports from local media in Sri Lanka, is that several SLPP, which is the party of the Rajapaksas, so several SLPP MPs have written a letter seeking resignation and asking the president to resign so they can appoint an all-party government and a new prime minister, which means that the SLPP still want to hold on to power, keep the reins of the government, and have asked for a change in leadership. That certainly speaks volumes of the kind of hatred that people now have shown towards dynasty politics, Sneha, and they are asking the Rajapaksas to move out of the political sphere, the political spectrum in Sri Lanka. And this is coming from none other than the party. So this is yet again another country with another with the party in control seeking a change in leadership. We saw that in the UK. There is no comparison, but just saying that the same party now is seeking a change in leadership. No more Rajapaksas is what they're saying. They want a new government with a new president and a new prime minister. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, who was appointed to put up a united front in this tremendous financial crisis that the country is facing, has had to deal with a lot in terms of the uphill task to get funds for the country. And not, like you're rightly pointing out, it's not just about getting fuel from Russia. They've looked at the Russia option. They're looking at the India option. India, in some reports, we've already seen that India said that Sri Lanka would have to make advance payments for fuel, because India has already sent out a huge credit line when it comes to helping them financially, the financial aid package that India provided to Sri Lanka. Besides that, they're still looking at the international community, IMF, but there are no takers. And lastly, the most important ally, so-called ally and economic partner of Sri Lanka, is absolutely amiss from this entire scenario, where Sri Lanka has had to face the brunt of very, very bad economic decisions and change in governments, where infrastructure projects were put on hold, but the money that was taken as loan was used. And that country is China, absolutely amiss in this crisis, has not come to Sri Lanka's rescue or help. But when it comes to keeping a strategic stronghold, they were the first ones to look at Sri Lanka as a strategic asset and wanted to get inroads, have a foothold in the country. But today, we don't see China really coming out and helping the country in the manner in which they should have, and rescuing them from this financial crisis that really was kicked off because of many of the projects or the loans taken from China, or projects that China is indeed involved in too. We're not saying that that's the only reason why. There have been a lot of terrible economic decisions. One government comes to power, puts other governments' decisions and infrastructure projects on hold. Uses the infrastructure for purposes that it was not built for, like the airport in Hambantota had been made a granary storage space, so on and so forth. So very bad decisions, and now the country is facing the worst crisis ever in terms of a country. Globally also, we've not seen...
Be with us, Geeta. I'll just come back to you. We are being joined by R. Rajgopalan, senior journalist. Thank you so much for your time, sir. You know, several times President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has really sidestepped so many demands for his resignation that has come in many, many weeks together. Was this inevitable in that sense? These were peaceful protesters who have now turned extremely violent and occupying the president's official residence.
It's a very, very sad situation, and your editor Geeta Mohan has explained it very well. My understanding, taking the clue from Madam Geeta Mohan, I would like to say the crisis in Sri Lanka is grave. The China and the Russia have given their, lost hope on Sri Lanka, because the economy of Sri Lanka, based on tourism is over now in Sri Lanka. No one goes to Sri Lanka. And moreover, Sri Lankan embassies in the world are being closed. Such a grave situation, financially, economic-wise. They have no kerosene, they have no petrol, and they are looking for Russia and other countries. India helped its maximum. My understanding is, day after tomorrow, when the Cabinet Committee on Security meets, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will take stock of the situation, and Mr. Jaishankar, a Sri Lanka expert, will definitely give his opinion. My understanding, madam, if you want to have a South Indian perspective, from Tamil Nadu, if you understand this, whatever is happening in Sri Lanka will affect Tamil Nadu per se. Tamil Nadu law and order problem, because there are spillover refugees and militants in the garb of the banned LGBT organization. They will be, coming into Tamil Nadu, which is a very crisis situation. Second thing, most important is, day after tomorrow, when the Cabinet Committee on Security in the Government of India meets, definitely they will arrange for the security of refugees. Second, whether they have to help the Sri Lankan crisis with more monetary aspects, health-wise, food-wise. They don't have bread, they don't have rice cooker. Can you believe? There are 25,000 pressure cookers have been sent last week to Sri Lanka. Therefore, Sri Lankan community as such are facing immense crisis. There is going to be a feminine type of situation in Sri Lanka. Therefore, it is going to affect India's security also, which is major apprehension.
Absolutely. Mr. Rajgopalan, you did say that as far as Sri Lankan Tamil refugees coming to Tamil Nadu is concerned. This is something that has been flagged off as well in the past, and the situation might just get even worse from here on, is what you suggested.
It is going to be worse. It is going to be a challenge for Mr. M.K. Stalin, the DMK Chief Minister, because the spillover, madam, it is only 10 kilometers, which is the border from Tamil Nadu to Sri Lanka. They come by boat. You can't restrict them if they come in huge numbers. And many of them have gone to Australia, many of them have gone to Philippines, many of them have gone to other countries by boat. So therefore, it's a crisis situation. People are running away from Sri Lanka. It's a crisis, like as Geeta Mohan explained it very well. My understanding is also same thing. Economic-wise, political-wise, no world capital has recognized Sri Lanka so far. Ranil Wickremesinghe is sworn in as the Prime Minister 2 months ago, but no foreign country greeted him. Can you believe that? Because Ranil Wickremesinghe, cannot manage this type of thing. Today he has just now called for a special session of the Parliament to discuss about the Rajapaksa fleeing Colombo.
Absolutely. Be with us. I'm just going to go across to my colleague from Tamil Nadu, Chennai. In fact, I'll just go back to Akshaya in a bit from now as we stay with these pictures from Colombo, where initially tear gas shells were fired at the protesters. Thousands of them gherawing the official residence of the President of Sri Lanka, Gotabaya Rajapaksa. The popular sentiment is that the Rajapaksas must go. This is dynastic politics, and that the family must go, essentially. Mahinda Rajapaksa was forced to step down, but Gotabaya Rajapaksa, his brother, the president, did not. There were several demands that he too should be stepping down, but he sidestepped those demands, unable to pull Sri Lanka out of this crisis. What has the administration essentially done? Just some hours ago, Gotabaya Rajapaksa informed that it sought help, credit line from Russia to ensure supply of fuel in Sri Lanka. That sort of assistance essentially has not come. But what next for Sri Lanka? And whether Rajapaksa, the Gotabaya Rajapaksa's exit essentially means that things can limp back to normalcy. Mr. Rajgopalan, I want to ask you this. Does the exit of Gotabaya Rajapaksa pacify the people? And does it give peace a chance? Does it give recovery a chance? These pictures of thousands of protesters, in fact, gherawing the official residence of the President of Sri Lanka, Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Unimaginable situation where the Sri Lankan police has been unable to bring the situation under control, has been unable to prevent these protesters from entering the residence of the President of Sri Lanka. These are protesters who are taking a dip in the pool right now. Akshaya Nath has travelled to Sri Lanka in the past as well. Amid the growing economic crisis, Akshaya, that has now turned into a huge political crisis. What's really going on? Give us an idea about the current situation in Colombo from where these pictures are coming.
Unit.
Akshay, if you can hear me, I was asking you about the current situation. It looks very, very dramatic, and this complete mayhem, as is evident, right at the residence of the President of Sri Lanka, who's now fled. Where is he? What really is going on? Can you tell us more?
Well, Sneha, what we are seeing in Sri Lanka currently is a very dramatic situation. It's a pileup of anger that we have seen for the last 92 days. We've been seeing that people have been assembling in Golfos, which is one of the main stretches, beach side of Sri Lanka's Colombo. And this is where all the senior officials' offices are. And outside Gotabaya Rajapaksa's office, we had been seeing for 92 plus days, people had been protesting. They had been demanding for Gotabaya to resign. But but that demand was not kept with. A solution for the economic crisis was sought for, that again was not given to them. And that piled up anger is what we are seeing today, witnessing in Sri Lanka, where thousands of people have thronged, coalface and have, got into the presidential office and also into the president's residence, which is Janadipati Mawata, which is the official residence. And both the places we're seeing hundreds of people gathering in. We even saw pictures which are coming out from there where people have been jumping into the pools of the official residence. And all this is because of the anger that they have towards the Rajapaksa family. They had been very clear that the economic crisis and the current situation that the country is in is because of the Rajapaksa family is what is the public perception, and that is the reason for the outrage that we're seeing there. As far as information that we're getting from the island nation is concerned, we've been told that Gotabaya Rajapaksa has fled from the place according to the different sources, and also we've been told that 2 naval ships from the coast have also moved, and it's suspected that the Rajapaksa family is inside that naval ship, but we are still awaiting official word on this, Sneha. But what we can see at the moment is that situation is getting intense. The Prime Minister, who's Ranil Wickremesinghe, he was appointed by Gotabaya Rajapaksa after Mahinda Rajapaksa, who was the brother of Gotabaya, had resigned. At that point of time, Ranil Wickremesinghe had started conversations with multiple foreign organizations to find a solution for the economic crisis. World Bank, IMF, even countries, neighboring countries like India was also approached to give a helping hand for creating a solution for the current economic crisis. But what we have seen is that multiple efforts taken, but no solution has been brought about. And today, Ranil Wickremesinghe has called for an emergency senior leadership
Be
meeting.
with us.
He's also
Akshay, I'll just come back to you for more on that. Continue to be with us. I'm bringing in Shashi Dhanatunge, former bureaucrat. Thank you so much for your time. What is really going on in Sri Lanka? And given that there were several calls that were given for the exit of the Rajapaksa brothers, the president held on to the chair and today is having to flee Colombo, having to leave his official residence in such a way. Was this really unexpected?
Yes, actually, it's something which was on the menu from the time the economic crisis began. A social crisis was on the menu, and so here is a situation where the final curry has been delivered to the table. Because if you really look at, we had the 9th of May, the Prime Minister was basically asked to forced to leave the office, and then on the 9th of June, exactly month after, we had the other brother of the Rajapaksa family, who was the Minister of Finance, had to basically resign from the Parliament. And then came the 3rd month, which is the 9th July. We basically, the country is seeing today, as we speak, the president had to leave his official residence after being confined himself for both work and for his living for the last 3 months, away from his personal residence, and vacating that because of the forces that came from all sides of the public, which was angered and was very unhappy with the situation the country was dragged into.
You know what I want to ask you, and this would be a rather simplistic way of looking at things, but do give us an idea. The popular sentiment really is against the Rajapakshas. And like I said at the outset, Mahinda Rajapaksa had to go. The president is having to also flee, literally flee his residence, as we've seen today. But does this mean that this gives peace and recovery a chance, given that the people are now largely upset with dynastic politics in Sri Lanka? And this is something that gives them hope.
Yes, obviously, because, I mean, this particular dynasty was going on for almost 2.5 decades. And during that time, we saw probably 30-year war, a civil war that was in the country, ending with the President Mahinda Rajapaksa, who was in power at that time, giving the political leadership. That gave him the kind of freedom to get his brothers into politics as well as give them a lot of power in the system. And finally, what happened, even the people who were backing him for that particular victory, war victory, and ending the situation which the country was going through with the war, basically he took everything for granted. And most of the projects what he was carrying on, most of the infrastructure projects that he was carrying on were not up to proper due diligence, or not with proper due diligence. I mean, if you do a large infrastructure project, of course, you have to do pest analysis or pest analysis. I don't think they did those analyses. And finally, if you look at even 10 years later today, only the P will tick in the pestle analysis, because only the political motives have been achieved through that. Nothing to do with the social or economical or any other environmental aspects have been achieved through those developments. So, and most of those borrowings that they took for development of these projects have been at very high rates, and those were not at all sustainable to an economy like Sri Lanka, which was just coming out of a war and also having so much of other constraints within the system to meet and develop. And so that all added up with the Easter attack in 2019 April, and then coming the pandemic, and on top of that, with the new government, that is President Rajapaksa now, who has just had to flee, introducing a huge tax cut, which was not actually warranted. I mean, that was not even asked by the business people or even the society. He gave a huge tax cut immediately after taking office. That took completely about 600 billion of the treasury revenues. So with the pandemic adding in, naturally, Sri Lankan economy couldn't sustain at all.
Yes, but Mr. Shashi Dhanatunge, even as we stay with these pictures from earlier today of tear gas shells being fired at the protesters, I want to ask you, these are live pictures for our viewers. Be with us, Mr. Shashi Dhanatunge. He'll just come back to you in moments from now. These are tear gas shells that have been used on the protesters, putting them at discomfort right now, as you can see on your screens. The police trying to bring the situation under control. But what situation under control, as we had put out those pictures of thousands of protesters completely storming the President House. This is the President Secretariat in Colombo, where the President of Sri Lanka, Gotabaya Rajapaksa, has had to flee. Visuals from the streets of Colombo, where protests have broken out. Shashi Dhanatunge continues to be with us. What is the way out, sir, of this? Now, I know it's not a simple question to answer, but does this exit, like I said, in a way pacify these people who've been upset with the political dispensation? And does this really pave the way, at least slowly, pave the way for recovery in a sense?
Yes, actually, this is something I would say the new generation, mainly. The new generation who is well educated and exposed to the world, and also very intelligent, creative, and also they really wanted a new country. And they saw the country was not going in the right direction, and they also saw what the world around them is going and progressing, and they were demanding the rulers to be more open, transparent, and accountable to their actions. But sadly, those are missing big time. And even today, what the IMF is reporting is that Sri Lanka has come to IMF on 16 occasions. Out of that, on 10 occasions, we have failed to meet our obligations. So with all those negatives, here is an opportunity now. Even IMF very recently during the visit, they have even told that Sri Lankan corruption issue has to be addressed. So this is one new condition,
yes,
which probably none of those other countries have been asked to address. So it shows the level.
Shashi Dhanatunge, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your views with us. I'm going to go straight to Manu Ganeshan. Member of Parliament in Sri Lanka, is a member of the opposition party of the Democratic People's Front and Tamil Progressive Alliance. Thank you so much for your time. I want to begin by asking you, what is the way out of this mayhem that Sri Lanka has found itself in? Is the exit, is the fleeing of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, was that inevitable? And is this going to pacify the people and at least put Sri Lanka eventually, slowly, albeit, on the road to recovery?
Yes, the mayhem is the right terminology you can use right now, but I'm concerned about my country. The reports that President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has left the country has not been confirmed yet. We have seen social media footage that VIP vehicles traveling to the Katanayak International Airport, and also another footage he's been going through that VIP group has left via the Colombo port in Sri Lanka Navy vessels carrying large suitcases, cages, and these are not confirmed yet. Right now, the protesters have entered the president's residence, official residence, and also the president's secretariat, both located close to each other. That is Colombo Port. And I am being the leader of the Tamil Progressive Alliance and also member of Parliament for Colombo district. I'm very much concerned. Most of our people are over there. And right now, the Sri Lanka Parliament, the Speaker, the number 3rd in command, was now called a special party leaders meeting in next 1 hour. Right now, I am preparing to go to the Parliament and attend the party leaders meeting. And also, the opposition leader, Sri Premadas, has called opposition leaders meeting by 3 p.m. and 4 p.m. will be followed by speaker's meeting. Okay. So that is the situation right now. And we are responsible party leaders and politicians and member of parliament. We don't want this situation to continue. We had been also calling for the resignation of the president. And also, I personally also advised Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe also to tender the resignation and respect the ambition and the struggle of the people, and so that interim government can take over until there is a climate which should allow us to conduct an election and go for people's mandate.
Yes, what I want to ask you is that you just said the Speaker has called for a meeting. This is an all-party meeting called at 3 o'clock. Am I correct? Have I heard you right, Mr. Ganesan?
Yes, 3 p.m. the meeting is called by Sachin Thapan, leader of opposition, for the party leaders of the opposition. And 4 p.m. Speaker has called a party leaders meeting for all the party leaders, that is the opposition as well as government.
For those who don't understand Sri Lankan politics, how does this really work from here on? Is there going to be a legal battle of sorts? Or is this matter going to be decided by Parliament itself on what next as far as the political dispensation of Sri Lanka is concerned?
Obviously, as with the constitution, if the president resigns, for the time being, Speaker can act as the acting president. And also, Prime Minister also can do that. But anyway, within 30 days, Parliament should elect member of Parliament for the presidency. That is how Sri Lanka law says. So there won't be a presidential election until the term of the presidency ends. The Parliament will elect a president in case of the President Gotabaya Rajapaksa resigns.
Okay, so his not coming back to Sri Lanka, at least at this point in time, because we're staying with these pictures, and these are very, very disturbing in a way, but also shows the manner in which just the people are so fed up. Mr. Manu Ganesan, what are the chances of Gotabaya Rajapaksa really returning? We don't even know of his whereabouts yet. What we only know that he's been escorted to safety. That's all we know, Mr. Ganesan.
Yes, obviously. My first question to the Speaker today at the official party leaders meeting would be to know the whereabouts of the President. The Speaker is duty-bound to tell us where the President is, because President is the number one, is the head of the state and head of the government, both. So therefore, we should know, rightfully we should know where he is. He can't go into hiding. If it goes into hiding, he should resign and get out of this administration. then pay way for the alternative arrangements. We can't do that. We can go into hiding. And the Mahinda Rajapaksa, former Prime Minister, and his son, Namal Rajapaksa, and his other brother, Chamal Rajapaksa. The Rajapaksas are supposed to be, who had been considered as kind of a royal family in this country some years before, some months before. But now they are very much hated by their own voters, the Sinhalese community. Sinhalese community put them into the administration and the rule, into the government against all the votes, all the accusations against them. The Rajapaksas were accused of corruption, wastage, and war crime too. So, but they ignored everything and voted into power.
Okay.
Based on the war victory they obtained against LTT. So, but now the same people are opposing them, chasing them. They walked into the President's Secretariat and Presidential Palace, searching for them. If by chance, if I wish Rajapaksas are not there, if they are found there, if they come get into the hands of the protesters, it will be really mayhem. I don't want to see that, because as a Democrat, I don't want to do that. I don't want to see that happen.
Okay. Also explain to us, and you did, but once again, sir, if you can, what can the speaker do? What really falls within the purview of the speaker? What are his powers essentially?
Yeah, well, as I explained, now we party leaders, the elected party leaders, we'll have to seek a solution within the constitution. This is the legal framework. What is happening on the streets, it is out of the legal framework. But that happens in the west of our countries when people protest in anger, opposition. But we, as also party leaders, we'll have to seek a solution within the constitution. That's what I say. We will ask where the whereabouts of the president today, and we'll unanimously ask speakers and at the party leaders meeting to call for the resignation of the president and call for the resignation of the prime minister too. Then Parliament will convene officially, legally, nominate a president. Anyway, whoever comes there will be only interim president, interim prime minister, an interim administration until there's a new election where we can seek a new people's mandate. That is the way out. That is the roadmap. Only available roadmap. That is what speaker can do. We can do. We should do.
You are going to ask for a change in regime and the speaker to take a call, Mr. Manu Ganesan. And by law, this has to be done within 30 days is what you're saying. Not later than that.
No. In case of from the date of the resignation of the president, we don't know whether the president has resigned or no. We don't know where the president is. So we will first of all we'll ask the whereabouts of the president, and speaker is duty bound to tell us. Speaker should contact him and ask him. Then once we come to know that where the president is, then we will, as party leaders, we will ask him to resign. Officially resign, voluntarily resign. If he doesn't resign, Parliament has to pass an impeachment motion against him, but that will take some time. But at this crisis hour, I hope the Rajapaksas will understand the situation.
All right, this is unreal. Mr. Ganesan, as we in India look at these pictures, our viewers also have been talking about these pictures doing the rounds that have gone completely viral. Look at these images on these protesters taking a dip in the pool. We have these protesters ghettoing the official residence of the president of Sri Lanka. There is a meeting at 3 o'clock that the opposition has called. There is a meeting at 4 o'clock that the speaker has called. What next? We don't know yet, but we hope this is the beginning of things to change, essentially, given that the people have in fact been in a desperate situation, and our heart really goes out to them because for weeks together they've been battling a worst economic crisis in Sri Lanka. Manu Ganesan, thank you so much for your time. I'm going to continue to be on this story, getting our viewers these visuals right now from Colombo, where tear gas shells have been used against these protesters, many of them who've geared out the residence of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. We don't know of his whereabouts. The opposition says that's the first question they're going to be asking of the speaker, that if you don't know where the president is, there should be a new president, and that call should be taken sooner rather than later, given the economic crisis that Sri Lanka is in right now. Just yesterday, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa had approached Russia seeking a credit line for some relief as far as fuel supply to beleaguered Sri Lanka is concerned. They've in fact been seeking this sort of credit line and help from different countries, and often it's not been forthcoming. I'm going to go across to Akshay Nath also for more details on that. Have the police been able to bring the situation under control, at least to some extent, Akshay? We have visuals of these protesters storming inside the kitchen of the President House, essentially. They're taking a dip in the pool and now they're at the kitchen. What more can you tell us?
Well, Sneha, the situation is out of control in Sri Lanka, as Colombo, the capital city. We can see hundreds of people thronging, the presidential secretariat, then also at the official residence, that is the Janathipati Mawatha, and all these places. We can see thousands of people gathering. The golf phase area, which was the main hub for protest against Gotabaya, where the slogans of Go Back Gotha was raised. We are seeing a sea of humanity there, all of them protesting, many of them even breaching into the area of the presidential office. Similarly, at the president's official residence too, we're seeing people inside the homes, many of them jumping on the beds, many of them taking a bath in the pool, and even in the kitchen. The situation is not under control, Sneha. We're seeing that even police officials who were trying to control this crowd are not able to. Technically, they don't have the manpower to control such a huge crowd. People are just coming more and more, is what we're getting to know from the local reporters who are there at Sri Lanka. This is coming at a time when people have been on the roads protesting against Gotabaya Rajapakse for over 90 plus days. They have had only one agenda, which was the Rajapakse family, the Rajapakse clan, to be out of the political system. They have been saying that the current economic crisis that Sri Lanka is facing, the reason is the Rajapakse family and their poor management, is the allegation made by the people. And right now, as we're seeing that the situation is getting tense economically, with price hikes just continuing, and the new Prime Minister, the interim Prime Minister who was appointed by Gotabaya Rajapakse after Mahendra Rajapakse's resigned, which was Ranil Wickremesinghe, not able to find a solution to the economic crisis. The anger among the people only rose. We've been seeing for many days how people have been waiting outside petrol stations, fuel stations, just to get the amount quota of fuel for their vehicles. Similarly, LPG gas prices had hiked, medicines were not available, basic amenities were missing, and all this has led to the kind of anger which has led to Gotabaya Rajapakse now fleeing from his residence. Also, we still don't know the president's whereabouts, but one thing is very clear: Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe has called for a special party meeting, and also the Speaker has called for a special leaders meeting at 4 p.m. And apart from this, Sajid Premadasa, who is one of the main opposition party leaders and who was the name suggested earlier for being the replacement for Mahendra Rajapakse, he too has called for an all-party leaders meeting at 3 p.m. today. And this is something that we will have to watch very closely, because Sajid Premadasa's party has been echoing the people's sentiment. They have been saying that Gotabaya Rajapakse should step down. The power hunger which has been there in the Rajapakse family should no longer continue, since the public sentiments is against them, and at this point of time, for the public's welfare and for the economy's welfare, a new government, an all-party government should be formed, was the appeal which Sajid Premadasa had earlier kept. And a similar letter of 16 MPs has been submitted to the Speaker, wherein they once again said President Gotabaya has to step down and an all-party Parliament has to be set up under a new Prime Minister's leadership. So it seems like right now, even for Ranil Wickremesinghe, there seems to be a lot of opposition that is coming up. And another interesting fact that we need to see in Sri Lanka, Sneha, is the kind of effort and the joint venture that people are having. We even saw several popular faces like Sanit Jayasuriya and all tweeting out, talking about how this anger is only an outburst for the kind of situation that the country is, and this is a united front that the people of Sri Lanka are putting forward. But is the violence the way way to go forward is one big question. But already we've seen India being a good friend of Sri Lanka, contributing for the Sri Lankan economic crisis, is to bring out Sri Lanka from the current economic crisis. We had seen how ships of goods were sent to Sri Lanka, even monetary aid was provided. But there is only a certain extent to which foreign countries and foreign associations and aids and organizations can help. It has to come from within the country to find a solution for the economic crisis, and that is what is lacking right now in Sri Lanka. And clearly the public anger, the public fury is in display, where we are seeing thousands of people thronging through Golfways and also the Janatipati Mawata, which is the president's official residence. And right now the big question is, where is Gotabaya Rajapaksa? That again is a mystery, but the defense sources in Sri Lanka have very clearly said that he has fled the place, but where to is something that we'll have to know very soon. And that's exactly what the members of the Parliament of Sri Lanka are also asking. They've said that they will be putting forth this question to the Speaker of the House as well, because they need a clear answer on the President's whereabouts, and he will have to step down. That is the kind of pressure that the Rajapakshas are facing now, Sneha.
Wanted to come to that. You did mention the Prime Minister, Ranil Wickremesinghe, and what next as far as the Prime Minister is concerned. Here's a man who's been handpicked by the President, Gotabaya Rajapaksa himself, and we have the President's whereabouts unknown completely. The country does not know where is the President. What happens to the Prime Minister then? Akshay.
Well, Sneha, right now we know that Ranil Wickremesinghe is trying to hold the ground. He's trying to hold the parliament together. That's one of the reasons why he had appealed to the speaker to call for a parliament session immediately. And we've also seen the speaker calling for an all-party senior leaders meeting at 4 p.m. So all this will be a step to understand what will be the fate for Ranil Wickremesinghe. And when Mahinda Rajapaksa left his seat and the prime ministerial seat was open, there was a lot of talk on who will be the next to fill the space, and all eyes were on Sajith Premadasa, the current opposition party leader. But unfortunately the demand made by Sajith Premadasa, which was Gotabaya to resign, was not met with, and we had seen Gotabaya picking Ranil Wickremesinghe, who did not even have majority support in the assembly to even make him the prime minister. But in spite of that, we had seen how Gotabaya Rajapaksa and his party and his alliance members had chosen Ranil Wickremesinghe, but that again was told by many a senior analyst as a very poor choice. Though he had the experience of a good prime minister, he had seen several crises that had come up in Sri Lanka. For him to handle an economic crisis and without the support of the people was a big challenge. But what Ranil Wickremesinghe had told even India Today exclusively for the first time after becoming the prime minister was that he had a plan of action which he would implement in the long run for the welfare of the people. And as per that claim, they had spoken to IMF, to World Bank and to several other organizations and several other countries to get aid for Sri Lanka. But unfortunately, none of those had materialized. And even now we are seeing that the island nation is reeling in one of its worst economic crises, and it seems like they don't even have an action plan to come out of it. So taking all those things into consideration at this point of time, the big chorus that we are seeing in Sri Lanka from the parliamentarians is for a new government with an all-party leadership and also a new prime minister, which means Ranil Wickremesinghe's current post as the prime minister will also be in question, and he might have to also step down from the post, is what we can understand from at least the general sentiments from what most of the members of parliaments in Sri Lanka are talking to us about. And as far as the other developments in Sri Lanka is concerned, it is a very, very tough situation. It is a sensitive scenario where people are out on the roads fighting against even the military that is there and also the police force which is there. So which means that how long will it take for the current government to bring this situation into control is also a big question, Sneha. And we had seen the places that these people have reached into, be it the presidential secretariat or Janatipati Mahawata, which is the official residence of the president. Both of these are well secured buildings.
We'll come back to you, Akshay, for more details on that story as our non-stop coverage on the Sri Lankan crisis continues. We're leaving our viewers with those pictures back in just 2 minutes.
hustling from different parts.
Armed with facts,
Looking at political back.
she takes the news by its horns.
Do you think the future of these students are not hampered?
Fierce, bold, and direct, setting the tone for the biggest stories from every corner and every angle. Expect nothing but the unfiltered truth.
News first, niceties later. Watch me, Nabila Jamal, on India Today.
La main des aides-soignants. Pourquoi ? Parce que les aides-soignants, aujourd'hui, ils sont globalement sous l'eau. Ils ne peuvent plus faire leur métier qui est de soigner. Et donc nous, Emobots, on leur fournit cette information de l'état émotionnel. Ils vont pouvoir mieux comprendre l'évolution de l'émotion de leurs résidents, de leurs patients. Et derrière, on sera aussi capable d'objectiver. C'est-à-dire qu'aujourd'hui, quand on fait un test pour la dépression, c'est un test normé, ponctuel, où on demande à la personne de verbaliser les informations. Et donc ça pose plein de problèmes. Et notamment de difficultés pour les personnes qui ne peuvent pas verbaliser.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices.
You are watching India Today.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com or call 9999892171. Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices.
You are watching India Today. You are watching India Today.
Sri Lanka is on boil. Political turmoil now deepens in the country. More than 100 protesters reportedly injured in violent clashes. They're currently taken to the National Colombo Hospital. Now, amidst the chaos, Sri Lankan Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe summons an emergency party meeting to discuss the crisis. Sri Lankan protesters have also barged into the president's office cum residence. Surprisingly, the protesters have been joined by Sri Lankan cricketer Sanath Jayasuriya. 16 SLPP MPs, including Dalasa Alapurima, request president to resign immediately. As the economic crisis worsens in Sri Lanka, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa flees his residence. Now, police used tear gas to disperse the crowds who tried to jump over the barricade at Rajapaksa's residence. Absolutely incredible scenes that we're witnessing in Colombo today. Those are visuals that you can see from inside President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's residence. Protesters have stormed into his residence. You can see some of those protesters who've jumped into the pool inside the presidential palace as well. Complete chaotic scenes. Thousands and thousands of protesters have descended into Colombo today in order to register their growing fury and anger over the economic crisis that has gripped the country for months right now. They're demanding the resignation of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, and reports suggest that President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has fled his residence, probably even the country, but no official confirmation of the same right now. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, who was in fact appointed in the month of May, is also facing pressure and calls to resign. Those visuals you can see, those absolutely incredible pictures that are coming in from Colombo. Lakhs of protesters who have descended into Colombo today. People have been getting angry. You can see tear gas and water cannons that have been used against these protesters by the police in order to try and stop them. But clearly, that didn't stop them from storming into the presidential residence, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's residence in Colombo. Those pictures, those inside pictures that have been shot by the protesters on their mobile phones, as you can see, they run ransack completely inside the residence of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, who is not in his residence and is reported to have fled his residence. His whereabouts currently are not known, but protesters are demanding that the president step down immediately. Remember that the Rajapaksa family, in fact, has dominated Sri Lanka's politics for over close to 2 decades. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and former Prime Minister of Sri Lanka, Mahinda Rajapaksa, in fact, dominated Sri Lanka's politics for a very, very long time. Mahinda Rajapaksa stepped down, and that's when Ranil Wickremesinghe was appointed the Prime Minister, sworn in the Prime Minister of the country. He too is now facing calls for his resignation. You can see those top view images from Colombo. The streets are filled, the streets are packed. They have all surrounded President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's bungalow there, the presidential palace in the city, in the capital city of Colombo. The anger of the people of Sri Lanka, the island nation, now spilling over onto the streets. Absolutely incredible images right now. We are, of course, hearing reports of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa having fled. Where he is at the moment is not known. But we also hear that Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe has called for an emergency meeting today because he wants some sort of decision to be taken, and all political parties of Sri Lanka, in fact, to be taken on board with the sort of chaos and crisis that Sri Lanka seems to have descended into. Those pictures on the left of your screens, you can see those images, in fact, from inside the presidential palace. Protesters having entered the various rooms of the palace, having jumped into the pool as well inside the palace over there. In fact, it was on Friday that the United Nations urged Sri Lankan authorities to show restraint in the policing of assemblies and ensure every necessary effort to prevent violence. In fact, over the past 5 months, this calls for the resignation of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa grew. He defied those intensifying calls for his departure. In fact, he forced his own family members to resign, including his brother Mahinda Rajapaksa, who was Prime Minister. My colleague Akshay Nath is now joining me on this story. Akshay, absolutely incredible pictures that we're seeing from Colombo over there. Protesters having stormed into President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's presidential palace over there. It seems the whole of Sri Lanka is currently out in the streets of Colombo right now. Absolutely incredible drone images that are coming in from Colombo right now, Akshay.
What we are seeing in Sri Lanka right now is an anger which has been piled up for over a period of 7 months. The last 7 months, Sri Lanka has been facing one of its worst economic crises. The kind of price hike that they've seen on basic commodities, medicine, food, and non-availability of medicine, LPG, gas, fuel, all of this, and the number of people who have been suffering on a day-to-day basis is one of the reasons why we're seeing the kind of anger that is being displayed in the capital city of Colombo now. We can see that thousands of people have thronged Golface, which is the main protest area and also the place where the President Secretariat is at.
Akshay, just hold on for a minute. I'd request you to hold on for a minute. Sulochana, in fact, senior journalist from Sri Lanka, is joining us on the phone line right now. Sulochana, thank you so much for speaking to India Today. Can you explain to us what exactly is happening on the ground in Colombo? Because the images that are coming in are absolutely shocking.
This was anticipated because the whole protest for today was pre-planned. It was on social media, from WhatsApp and other tools they were using to connect with all the people around the country, and it was very well planned. And people's frustration that actually took a different turn today, because earlier also they tried to do the same thing, but it was not very successful with the current crisis situation. But it came to a point, it's a boiling point, because there was no solution found. The people gave some time, and the government also kept repeating, saying that you will get fuel today, you will get gas tomorrow, and the food items would be available, sort of broken promises. So it is a boiling point that actually took a different turn. Today it is do or die sort of attempt the protesters wanted. Today really they wanted to find a solution, and they wanted to make sure that the president resigns. So it seems to be a successful attempt, and today unexpectedly we also never thought that people would gather in such large number in the city of Colombo, but they had come from various places. Even railway stations were full of people. They were trying to get into the train, and this all happened because yesterday evening around 6-7 o'clock the curfew was imposed, a police curfew. And then people were very angry and very annoyed. But later on, it was found to be not a legal curfew was not legally accepted. The legal bar association also fought back and said there is no such a thing called a police curfew, and that was turned off. And in the morning today at 8 o'clock, the curfew was lifted. Basically, there was no curfew. There was no curfew in force, but that curfew notice was lifted, and then people started to travel. And they all came to Colombo as planned, and then it was a massive crowd. Initially, in the morning, there was some tear gas that was thrown at the protesters, but they managed. It was such a huge crowd that the army and the police could not control the crowd. Finally, they gave up. They gave up and they gave in to the protesters, and they finally made it into the presidential palace. And it was something that they achieved today. Actually, this is leading to a different platform of climate. By evening, we will hear a different story because the Prime Minister has called for an urgent meeting.
Right.
So we are waiting to see whether there will be a new developments by evening and there will be any new announcement as to whether the president is going to resign or not.
So, Lochana, also what we're hearing is that President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has fled. Are his whereabouts known?
His whereabouts are not known, but there are a lot of videos, social media is circulating through the social media. One is that a lot of several security vehicles, armor vehicles are going towards the airport, and there are another video that has been circulating saying that there is somebody rushing into into Colombo port and then boarding a ship, a Navy-owned ship. So we don't know actually whether these are the accurate information we are getting, but very soon we will come to know where he is, and they are saying that he is trying to escape and go to Dubai through using the airport, and some are saying he just boarded into a ship that's owned by the Navy. But so far, officially, nothing has been informed to the public.
So while these protesters have been gathering in Colombo, Sulochana, there's been no word, you're saying, from President Gotabaya Rajapaksa.
Yeah, because as I told you, the financial crisis and the political crisis, it has gone beyond it has tested our patience so much. I mean, I am being a journalist. I'm for the last 3 months, I don't have gas in my house. And I don't have fuel, and I'm unable to travel to office, and we are unable to work from home also because there is power cuts daily. So your entire life is under severe stress, and you cannot take it anymore. That's why people have come to a point that this has to come to an end. This kind of a governance is no good for the people because people elected him and they expected a lot from him, a person who strategically won the war, and he had a lot of credibility, and they loved him so much. That's why 69 lakhs of people voted for him, and so the anticipation were all basically washed down into the drains, I would say, and this is why things have turned out to be very sour. Actually, this is very unexpected. We never expected this kind of a governance. But it is the worst kind of governance, and in our history, we never had a leader like this, and we had people who are getting so agitated and could ambush and go into the presidential secretariat as well as into his presidential palace. And in the month of May 9th, there were so many houses torched, including the Prime Minister's residence, ancestral residence, and their museum. So these were all reflection of the anger and the agitation and the frustration people have over their lives. It is their own life that has been impacted so badly. And you can't go on with your life in this manner until his tenure ends. His tenure ends in 2024 or 25, I think. But you can't hold on until then. And he also was very adamant that he will complete his tenure. That's what he was targeting for. And this was explicitly told at many conferences that he will stick to his presidency and try to change things for the people and try to rectify the matters he made. He even said sorry about the fertilizer issue. So things like that. But we didn't see anything turning out to be good for us. We didn't see anything practically taking place, whether we get fuel and gas and the food commodities prices are skyrocketing day by day, and this can simply need to rectify immediately. That's why I think this instant decision the people took into their hands.
Right. Sulochana, thank you so much for speaking to India Today. The way you described things personally as well, the way you described what you're facing, that just goes to show how much the people have been patient, and of course, completely their anger now spilling out onto the streets after months of course, waiting by and watching. as the economy was mismanaged by the Gotabaya Rajapaksa government. Sulochana, thank you so much for speaking to India Today. My colleague Akshay Nath continues to be live with us. Akshay, we just heard from Sulochana in Sri Lanka as to how the people have just sort of run out of patience. They've just run out of patience right now. And this was very well organized in the way that Colombo today saw one of its biggest yet protests, where they've basically managed to storm into the presidential palace, and the president, of course, is missing now. He has been escorted to a safe place, quote unquote, say some defense sources in Sri Lanka, but clearly he's fled the people's fury.
Well, Polami, when we see the people's love for their leader, we saw how Gotabaya Rajapaksa was elected as the president with a huge majority. And the same people's anger, the fury, when it's converted, we're seeing how the president has had to flee from his official residence. And we don't know where the president is right now. His whereabouts are something that is not revealed yet. But what we have seen is 7 months of piled up anger. As just like how Sulochana was saying, several of the Sri Lankans have been suffering because of inflation, because of the economic crisis. The raw materials are not available. Basic necessities like even medicine has been unavailable to people. People have been dependent on electricity, and when they're dependent on electricity for even cooking, electricity shortage is there. So, you know, the country has been reeling in one of its worst economic crises since its independence. And this time, since early May, we've seen protests going on for close to 92 days. This anger against Gotabaya Rajapaksa was evident at Golface, where public were protesting against Rajapaksa. But finally, today we're seeing that anger has reached its peak, and people have just stormed into the presidential secretariat and also into the Janatipati Mawata, which is the official residence of the president. And all this is because of the kind of governance that the people have seen. Well, there are a lot of things to blame. One is the pandemic and the economic crisis that came. Tourism is the most important kind of revenue there, and because of pandemic, there was no tourism for the last two and a half years. And now, when they're trying to figure out an action plan to come out of this economic crisis, well, the new Prime Minister, who's Ranil Wickremesinghe, also does not have a concrete action plan. And that lack of plan is also one of the reasons why the anger that we're seeing right now has also come out. Despite all these curfews that the government was trying to impose on the people, today at 8 a.m. in the morning, once that curfew was lifted, we'd seen hundreds and thousands of people thronging across Colombo city. All the major roads of Colombo is filled with people, and the kind of action by these people inside Gotabaya Rajapaksa's residence is also a reflection of the anger that they have towards the president. They've stormed into his house, they've stormed into the pool, they're trying to drag out everything that was belonging to Rajapaksa there. They're making videos and making fun of it. So all this is a piled up anger which is being revealed. But what is the solution for it? Should Gotabaya Rajapaksa have taken the step of stepping down even before this kind of an action had happened is the big question, because the hunger for power that the Rajapaksa family had showed could be the reason why this kind of public anger is now being there. And secondly, we need to remember that an interesting fact is every 9th since May has been a bad day for the Rajapaksa family. On 9th of May, we had seen Mahendra Rajapaksa had resigned. On 9th of June, we had seen the finance minister was Basil Rajapaksa, another sibling of the Rajapaksas, resigning. And today, on July 9th, we're seeing one of the massive outbreak of anger by the general public there. And we're seeing that right now, the government is in a standstill. Ranil Wickremesinghe, the Prime Minister, has requested the Speaker to call for a special meeting of senior leaders of all the political parties. And at the same time, we're seeing at 3 p.m. today, there will be a meeting which has been organized by Sajid Premadasa, who is the opposition party leader as well. So the situation in Sri Lanka is extremely tense without any action plan for the future. We've seen IMF, World Bank and different other monetary organizations with which Sri Lankan government have had talk with failing terribly. So what will be next next for this island nation is a big question. But one thing is clear, that 16 SLBP leaders have demanded that a new government with all party members and a new prime minister be formed. So that is one major demand that we're seeing from at least the elected representatives. But as far as the general public is concerned, anger is towards every other politician as well, because we had seen how Samagi Jana, where they are one of the main opposition parties in Sri Lanka, which is led by Sajid Premadasa, their representatives had gone to the protest site today, but he too was dragged out there. People were seen throwing water bottles at him and, trying to attack him in a way, and officials had to drag him out of that facility to see the safety. So the kind of anger that we are seeing amongst the people is towards all the politicians is what we can understand at this given point of time. And they have only one demand, that is to bring back Sri Lanka to normalcy, but in the fastest way possible, because this economic crisis is only dragging them to an uncertain future more and more with every passing day. Follow me.
Right. Akshay, just stay on with us. We will, of course, take our viewers through some of the top developments that have taken place on this Sri Lanka crisis story.
Higher interest rates.
Amid the ongoing violent protests, Sri Lankan Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe is holding a key party meeting. The meeting comes after President Gotabaya Rajapaksa reportedly fled the country. Lankan Prime Minister is also asking the Speaker to summon Parliament. Furious protesters stormed into the presidential palace. The protesters have been blaming Rajapaksa's family for the economic crisis in the country. Protesters took a dip in the pool after storming President's residence. They also shared videos of a fleet of luxury cars at the President's residence. Cops clashed with protesters during the violent protests. According to reports, over 100 protesters were injured in the protests. Former Sri Lankan cricketer Sana Jayasuriya was among the protesters. He said the siege is over and Aragalaya and people's power has won. Those images, of course, coming in from Colombo today, viewers, of the crisis now which has spilled over onto the streets of Colombo. Protesters, they're storming the presidential palace in Colombo. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and his whereabouts are still unknown. He seems to have fled. My colleague Akshay Nath is still live with us. Akshay, you were on the ground in Colombo just a couple of months ago. When you spoke to the people over there, and then, of course, you witnessed the sort of, the ramifications of the economic crisis that were being felt on the ground, what did you see?
Well, Polami, I was in Sri Lanka during the time when people of Sri Lanka had attacked Temple Tree, which is the prime ministerial residence. This was around the first week of May, and we'd seen how Mahinda Rajapaksa, who was the then prime minister, had to step down. That was on May 9th. So following that, when India Today was there, we had seen and spoken to so many people at Golface who had tented up there and who were continuously protesting against the Rajapaksas. They were continuously talking about how the country is in such a pitiful state only because of the Rajapaksas. So we have seen that the mentality of the general public there was to blame, Mahinda Rajapaksa and the other Rajapaksa family members who were part of the government back then. And we'd also seen that as soon as Mahinda Rajapaksa had resigned, the next demand was that Gota go back. And this was a slogan which was echoed across the island nation. But we had seen that despite this kind of a sentiment going on there, Gotabaya Rajapaksa held on to his position. He said that he will serve his entire tenure and he will ensure that Sri Lanka will reel out of the current economic crisis that they're facing. But unfortunately, the person whom they had chosen as the Prime Minister was Ranil Wickremesinghe, who once again was a choice of the Rajapakshes, unlike the popular demand, which was the most, the opposition leader, who was Sajith Premadasa. He was hinted out to be the right choice for the Prime Ministerial candidate because he and his party had the second highest number of votes and supports and MLAs in the Parliament is concerned. But what we had seen was completely different picture. Ranil Wickremesinghe, a very experienced politician, had stepped in, and even after that, the scenario in Sri Lanka did not change, and that had brought in a lot of piled up anger. What they had expected out of their new Prime Minister was to bring in an action plan wherein they will be able to come out of the economic crisis. But unfortunately, we had seen how Sri Lankan government was not able to fix up a proper economic plan. They were not able to get the support of IMF or the World Bank or any other monetary funds, or a majority nations whom they approached also were not able to support them. And also one needs to know how much can an external party can help a scenario in Sri Lanka. This is a crisis which was created in the island nation itself. If you see the kind of revenue that Sri Lanka gets, it's mainly from tourism and then from agriculture, whereas all other things are imported into Sri Lanka. They don't really have a good system of manufacturing or a way in which they can employ their the general public. So there was a public anger that they were not able to do well, and the public were suffering because of the kind of planning and schemes that were brought in by the Rajapakshes and the leaders back then. And at this point, again, the same anger is what has brought the public once again to Golface and also to the Janatipati Mawata, and we're seeing the kind of breaching into these fortified areas, which are well secured areas. This is all the piled up anger of the general public, and their demand that they want a change is being reflected in the action also. How much can a government control the raging public, a mob-like public? Is what we're seeing here. They are not being able to do that, and despite all the curfew that was put for the island nation, once the curfew was lifted at 8 a.m. today, all of those people who wanted to protest have come out on streets, and we're being told that by every passing minute, the number of people who are gathering at Golface and the other public areas is only increasing. And what is the solution for it? Well, it is a big question mark, because right now we're seeing that the government missionaries, which is led by Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, has requested the Speaker to call for a meeting. A new government has to be formed, is the suggestion given by the SLPP leaders. But how much of a time will all this process take, and when will this scenario come to a control? All this is a big question, because we're saying that the kind of forces that they can use on this public is also limited, and they are outrun by the kind of public force that we can see there on ground. So at the moment, Sri Lanka, the island nation, which is generally known as a very peaceful nation, is at its worst scenario, and the president who had promised to take care of the country till his term gets over has fled the nation, fled the region. We don't even know his whereabouts at this point of time, Polemy.
Right, Akshay, given that President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has been defiant through this entire time, when there have been calls for his resignation, what are the chances, and the anger of the protesters who have stormed into his presidential residence, who have stormed into the secretariat, he will in fact step down wherever he is, from wherever he is?
Well, the pressure is on Gotabaya for the last 92 odd days, Polemy. We need to understand from day one, the demand of these public who are raging and who have been on the ground is for Gotabaya Rajapaksa to resign. And right now, the scenario is such that the people have clearly shown their mandate. They've clearly shown that they do not want a leader who is named Gotabaya Rajapaksa, who is holding the position right now. And the only option that is left for him is to step down. In fact, we had even seen that Sajid Premadasa, who was seen as the best contender for the prime ministerial post, had back then said that his party will form a government only and only if Gotabaya Rajapaksa would step down. And because of this very demand, did we see that the offer of being the prime minister was handed over to Ranil Wickremesinghe. And now, with the kind of scenario that we're seeing in Sri Lanka, it's very unlikely that Gotabaya Rajapaksa will be able to continue in his position any longer, and he will have to step down sooner or later. That is the kind of scenario that has come up, and it's very clear that if he is going to come back into the city of Colombo, then the repercussions that he and his family will have to face is going to be the mob-like scenario, mob-like crowd that have thronged into his residence, and that is not something the Rajapakshas with any number of supporters or any number of police force will be able to handle. That was what we have witnessed in the last couple of hours also. And talking about the next possible scenario for Sri Lanka, we have been told by senior member of parliament that they will be demanding for an entirely new government to be formed, and this time the government will have members of all the parties, and there will be a new prime ministerial person also appointed, which means that Ranil Wickremesinghe, the current prime minister, might also be facing a lot of resistance from his fellow parliamentarians. And just to go back a few days prior, Paulami, just to give you a recap, we had seen how in the Parliament House also members of the Parliament had raised slogans against Gotabaya Rajapaksa, and the continuous sloganeering forced Gotabaya to leave out of the Parliamentary House. So the sentiments among the parliamentarians as well as the general public is very clear. When Mahinda Rajapaksa had to resign on the 9th of May, we had seen how at least Rajapaksa, the Gotabaya Rajapaksa, was trying to step forward and saying that, he will manage the show and he will ensure that a new prime minister, new government will be in place, and Mahinda Rajapaksa and all other Rajapaksas will be removed. And keeping in consistence with that word of his, on June 9th, we had seen how Basil Rajapaksa, who was the then finance minister of the Sri Lankan government, also stepped down. And now, a month later, July 9th, we're seeing another big resistance being showcased by the general public. And with the kind of crowd that is coming into Gulf Face, the sea-facing area in Sri Lanka's Colombo, things are only getting heated up, and it really needs to be seen how this can be brought into control. The only way that we can see is that by Gotabaya Rajapaksa, from wherever he is, announcing that he will be stepping down and not interfering with the governments there.
Things into perspective for viewers who possibly have not followed the crisis in Sri Lanka as minutely as you have. What exactly happened? How did things come to such a pass? Of course, the Rajapaksa government will blame the pandemic, but the fact is that many experts will tell you it was pure mismanagement.
Yes, Paulmi, while we talk about the current economic situation that has arisen in Sri Lanka, we'll have to go back a few years as well. What we have seen in Sri Lanka is that the governments have always been insisting on, bringing out big budgets, mismanagement of funds, taking up huge loans from neighboring countries, including China, which can be also blamed for the kind of current scenario that Sri Lanka is facing. We've seen that Sri Lanka has invested in many of its huge projects, but these projects have not turned into revenue models for the Sri Lankans. Even the construction work, and the way the the whole projects go about, all this has only benefited foreign countries and not really the Sri Lankans or the Sri Lankan citizens. And we've seen that multiple massive projects had been brought about by the Rajapaksa family. Even in their hometown, they had set up an airport, they set up an port. All of these things did not convert into revenue, but had put the Sri Lankan government into huge debt. That is one important factor that we need to remember. Secondly, we have to also blame the pandemic. The pandemic saw that the biggest revenue for Sri Lanka, which was tourism, that had come to a standstill, that had come to a halt, which thereby led to a lot of financial crunch for the Sri Lankan government. So, as the Sri Lankan government continued paying its exuberant debts, which they had to incur because of their projects which were not benefiting the nation or the general public, and secondly because of not
Akshay, I apologize for interrupting you over there. We will of course come back to you because this is the story that we will be following. We're just slipping into a very short break, leaving you with those images, those absolutely incredible images that are coming in this afternoon from Colombo in Sri Lanka.
Watching India Today.
आ गई? कैसा रहा दिन?
बहुत अच्छा।
कोई वीडियो गेम कवर करने गई थी ना?
वीडियो गेम नहीं माँ, ई-स्पोर्ट्स।
E-sports?
माँ, e-sports is just like any other competitive sport. इसमें ना वो सब फीलिंग्स है जो किसी भी और स्पोर्ट्स में है। इसमें इमोशन है, इसमें एंगर है, इसमें सैडनेस है, इसमें हैप्पीनेस है, इसमें कमराडरी है। ये सिर्फ गेम नहीं, ये ई स्पोर्ट्स का प्रीमियर लीग ESPL है।